También va para abajo Dardol, que intercambia Firrider.
So fast, all tied up like a captive. I'm on to you. Used to pay to my life, standing on rainbows, playing it cool. I haven't felt this in ages, and I've no more patience. So won't you please stay a bit longer? You're making me stronger, making me stronger. You cashed in on my promises. You know I'm too generous. Now I've learned to never help you out. 'Cause I'm done cleaning up your mess. Found myself in my regrets. I've become a little stronger now. A little stronger now.
There are only a few seconds to close this round. A headshot! Nice! Fist bumps go to the teammates.
I wanna hear your go, go, go. Make them feel your smashing blow. Win the round. Rise to fame. Hold the ground.
Pretty much. They play, you win.
Welcome back to the Epic League CIS RMR. It's the final day. It's one last day of fantastic back-to-back, brilliant Counter-Strike aggression, some great new talent being displayed, and of course, you can't forget that weird bendy hand that shows every now and then coming through, almost about to be chopped. I'm here to take you through all the action, all the hands, and all the frags, and with me, I've got none other than Michael Yumi Cassidy. Michael, we've had a long road to get here, and before we talk about the first matchup that we have, we've got to talk about the journey. So we'll pop up the brackets over here. Right now, we've got 3 teams still remaining in contention. It's Virtuspro, Gambit, and Akuma. Michael, how are you feeling?
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously a lot coming into this where players and fans alike are sort of looking at this bracket and saying, oh my goodness, how has Akuma made it all the way through? You know, the expectation of all these big dogs within the CIS scene not being fulfilled all the way through, and a lot of upsets occurring, which is where a lot of the sort of drama, I think, has come with this particular RMR. It's a super competitive bracket, and you can see that reflected in our playoff bracket. When we came into this, all the teams that we expected to be here made it. Aside from Akuma, who were that dark horse that had not only legitimized their placing within the playoffs by beating Na'Vi, but Virtuspro alike.
And look, over here, Akuma has come through and shown us that they're made of some really stern stuff. Even against Gambit, we saw, you know, a lot of moments where, hey, maybe they could get a couple more rounds together, but they very often fell short mechanically, and that was the one major failing that they had consistently all across. However, of course, in the process of, you know, Akuma getting here, we've lost some big names. We've lost Na'Vi, we've lost Spirit, hell, we've even lost Entropic, which was my dark horse pick going into this. So definitely a lot of big names getting out of this tournament. That's exactly what seems to happen every time there is a CIS RMR, and that comes down to the amount of individual talent, the amount of, you know, just education these teams have on each other, the amount they've researched each other, and it's always good to see. Of course, if you guys are wondering what is at stake, the top 5 teams from the regional major ranking tournaments are going to be going through to the major, but there is still a division over there as well. The top 2 will be going into the Legends stage, the 2 after will be going into champions, and then the final one in contenders. But we've now got Virtuspro and Akuma's map veto over here for us. And Michael, we actually differed in opinions for this one. Last time we did see Dust2 and Mirage coming through. This time, I think it's going to be a little bit different. I know you said that it's going to be a similar veto process, so how about I walk us through this one? Hey, Michael, I hope you're not going to hate me too much for that.
Nah, sure. I kind of had the opinion that they might stick to their same guns to sort of show that they learned something from it and just not be dissuaded. But yeah, changing strategies could be a nice way to approach this if you're VP.
Well, look, for me, I personally thought that, you know, the Inferno ban from Akuma is obvious. VP is obviously going to take out Nuke.
Yeah.
That's their perma ban over there. Akuma's got to go for the Mirage pick. They dominated VP on it before as well, and that's where, you know, you're expecting them to go for it again. They beat Na'Vi on it. They took Gambit to double overtime with the pass on it. Good look for them. Virtuspro, though, Michael, you thought they might go for the Dust2 pick. I don't know about that, because yesterday they looked terrible versus Spirit. They did not look good versus Akuma on it, and although they've been picking it all tournament long, the question is, what do you go for next? The problem is VP have been picking Inferno and Dust2 as their primaries for months now, so I was a little bit confused about what they'd go for. I was thinking it should be an overpass, and I really sort of hope that. So great, okay, I've got that one down and sorted. Michael, I'm feeling kind of proud of myself. The question is, can I nail it all? Akuma probably going to be taking a train. Don't think that they really want to play that up against VP, because it leaves Vertigo and Dust2 in the decider. VP has a terrible record on Vertigo. I don't see them being willing to pick that up, and if they let that through and they don't let Dust2 be the decider, I think VP is going into it with a losing mindset. So let's see what exactly comes through over there. Yeah, there you go, Michael. Oh yeah, kick it.
Yeah, I mean, there was always this option available. I think one of the critiques I'll have about coming into this, you know, that they can take a lot as well away from the game that Gambit played, the fact that they went for an overpass themselves, so could be reflective in the game we see from VP today. But even just talking about that point where, you know, Dust 2 and Inferno being those first picks for them very traditionally, this does also feel like they're a little bit too worried about what the Akuma have got to offer on these maps. Understand, like we saw just how dominant they were in outplaying VP positionally on Mirage. So I mean, that one you can't avoid, because leaving your permaban open would just spell disaster. I think Akuma would instantly punish pick. But Dust 2, I do worry that that's maybe a hit to the confidence, that they just don't feel as comfortable in that first pick as they once were.
Absolutely, and this is where, you know, maybe a little bit of that comes down to the fact that VP haven't had their star players show up the same way this tournament. Yesterday we saw a phenomenal performance from Buster in particular, and that's great to have, but where is Jekindar across the board? He wasn't really there versus Akuma before. He wasn't there versus Spirit. Against Spirit yesterday, Jekindar and Sanji were both getting destroyed. On Dust 2 in particular, Jekindar went 0-9 to start the game, and Spirit was playing incredibly well. I don't want to take anything away from them, but there has to be some blame leveled on the other side as well. It's a two-sided coin, and unfortunately one side looks kind of dead right now. You can't have that happening if you're VP.
Yeah, and maybe that comes back to that confidence. We talked a lot about how VP will use Jekindar as a weapon, and if he's not being activated, that can be a big hindrance for the squad. You know, he's supposed to create a lot of that space for, especially Jame to operate. By being the front man of the roster, Jame can be a bit more of a lurk-oriented IGL and just make a lot more informed decisions. But if he's just going to get abused alongside Sanji, who, you know, that power duo getting shut down as hard as they did last time we saw them on Dust 2, yeah, maybe there is something to be had there in the fact that Overpass could just be this new frontier for that duo in particular.
At the same time, we've been going into the tournament singing praises of Akuma Sensei, and Michael, the games that we've seen, and we know we've got to cover personally, Sensei's looked all right. He had one really good Mirage game versus VP, and I don't want to take that away from him. But it really does seem like Akuma's a mixed bag. And the question is, this mystery bag, it can come out with Santa's best Christmas list, or you could be on the naughty list and get non-renewable energy sources. And it's 2021, Michael. We don't use non-renewable energy sources anymore. And that's why I've got to ask you, Michael, who's going to be the fancy solar on the side of Akuma? Because, you know, Sensei, can you really count on him the same way, to the same capacity in that situation?
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be as much of an emphasis point. We talk about the CIS region as being very AWPer dominated in terms of how teams are composed. We see that with Jame, even the likes of Elliot. We've seen there's so many star AWPers that could eventually make it out of the circuit and just get plucked out into the tier 1 scene, and we know that to be true about this region. The problem that lies here is that because Akuma have been so dynamic in the way that they read the game, Sensei is less of an emphasis point, whereas it feels a lot... Basically, the Akuma strategy is very dependent on their opponent. Yeah. Each and every game feels slightly different based on who they're facing off against, and so as a result of that, Sensei isn't going to be considered as heavily as just positionally where everyone else is on the map.
And look, that's absolutely true. And one really big player who I want to outline is actually Sergis. He looked fantastic yesterday, even up against Gambit. He was doing a pretty damn good job at certain times in Overpass. And when you look at Virtuspro's map pick off Overpass, he's going to be the person who you're really keeping an eye out for. He's got great timings and getting aggressive on the CT side. He was being able to get a lot of control out to the playground, being able to push out from long, all that really good stuff coming through from him. But at the same time, the problem for Akuma still seems to always be is that he's not really someone who I can point out and say, okay, this guy's like a supermassive star player, he'll take over a series all on his own. Because that's the kind of player that wins you championships. It really does seem like Akuma's win condition is, okay, we've got to have Demq on his mojo, we've got to have Sensei looking pretty decent, if not great. And then we've got to have Sergis being able to get all those flanks off. All in the meanwhile, Psycho's got to have some great reads. And Jeky's the only player I'll say is, okay, this is a solid B-side anchor, and he's pretty damn reliable in that regards.
Yeah, I don't know who the weak link is as of right now for Akuma. Even with the ratings kind of being skewed one way, of course, Sensei the highest rated player for this team at this event, that kind of skews opinions towards him being this star AWPer, but I do think our discussions about strategy are really where Akuma has benefited. You know, we see a lot of these late round rotations. They seem to make very informed decisions, and even if they are able to punish Jeki, who is this unproven player that teams and respectively the community don't really know too much about, the core for this Akuma side is more than happy to put him in positions where he's not only getting information early, but playing some really heavy anchor positions that can be very difficult for players entering the circuit.
And look, we've talked a little bit about Akuma over there, but back to Virtuspro, because the conversation that I haven't properly dived into with you, Michael, yet is the fact that Buster is looking,
He's good, man.
He's looking really good. And I can tell your enthusiasm. I can see you making that face you make, Michael, so I know you've got something to say here.
Yeah, I mean, how many times did we see Buster in the games yesterday just deliver the goods? Even when the team was down in numbers, he just come out with a 3K, and it wasn't as if it was crazy in sort of, you know, smoke plays or taking massive risks. He was playing very controlled and methodical Counter-Strike, you know, taking each of the fights concisely. It never kind of overstepping, and that's best foot forward for Buster. That's what's going to be needed for this game today, especially when we saw him thrive so much on Overpass. That pick for VP just looks that much better.
And Michael, this is where we also have to, you know, I think I've got the perfect analogy actually for Buster. For me, Buster is, you know, in the current day and age, and, you know, very much in the pandemic day and age, he's the food delivery guy. Because you didn't really know how much you needed him until you couldn't go to the restaurants anymore. Until, you know, you don't have that fancy Michelin star Yakinder showing up. No. Buster's going to get you that burger. It's going to be hot. It's going to be tasty. It's going to be nourishing. And it'll be what gets you through some hard times. I feel like that's the man he is. And we saw a lot of those hard times yesterday versus Spirit. So Mr. Delivery Man's going to be coming through, taking your orders, ding, 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 dealing out the meat, because that's what he does. And that's what I'm really looking forward to seeing. But one man on Buster's side who has been praised, well, seemingly for a very long time, is also Keekert. And Keekert had his moments, but maybe not quite as many as we wanted. And that seems to be the theme for Virtuspro all in all. I mean, other than Yekindar, who has just fallen off a cliff for this tournament, I hope it's just a small slump, and maybe he can get his mojo back in this series. He's going to need it. But Keekert as well, and the rest of VP, you know, Jaime too, they've had their moments. They've had these split seconds of beauty, but beauty needs to be eternal, not ephemeral.
Yeah, and you have to look at Keekert in the same scope that you do, say, like Inters for Gambit, right? Taking a lot of these supportive roles and very infrequently taking these opening duels. Not even in the same positions as Sanji, where he's often going for trades. He's a very scaled to the bomb site player, and so a lot of executes can be very diligently placed around him as an individual. So that naturally as well means you're taking less duels, but even in those small glimpses, those small moments where we're expecting players like Buster or Yakinder to perform, you'll also need Keekert on the defensive end to perform just as well, if not delay long enough for his teammates to get into position. So I don't know. It's hard to really pinpoint one player that needs to step up, because I think we've identified the core three for VP and I think Akuma alike as to where the consistent factors are. It's just about whether that either of these teams has that additional X factor to bring him in, and whether that's going to be consistent throughout the whole day, because surviving this consolidation final is one thing, then moving into a final best of 5 against Gambit is going to be a whole nother ballgame.
Well, that's absolutely true, and that's something that, you know, I'm sure neither of these teams can really get out of the back of their head, but one problem for Virtuspro to even get to that point, for me, Michael, is a map that we haven't discussed it. It's the third map, Vertigo. And I said it in the veto phase as well, is that if Virtuspro lets it be a Vertigo decider instead of a Dust 2, that shows me it's a losing mindset. Now, I also said that about Gambit going up against Spirit, but I flip-flopped over there and I said, you know what, maybe they've done a lot of prep on Dust 2, maybe they've been able to, you know, maybe they're going to be able to dominate Spirit. I feel like this is going to be the Astralis Liquid thing coming in. I don't think VP's Astralis, Michael, and that's something that does scare me.
I don't know if it's really about that. Unfortunately for either of these teams, when we've looked at their Vertigo, it hasn't been the most execute focused. And I think maybe that's where you're kind of going with this the Astralis talk, is that it almost feels like it'll be decided in very early stages. I'll remain hopeful that something additional has come through for both these teams, because, I mean, even looking at other CIS opposition that were within the playoffs earlier on, you know, you contrast that to, say, the likes of Entropic, where their executes look so well refined, but then some of their early round looks a little bit dodgy. Whereas I feel like for both these teams, the early round is going to be a massive strength. It's just about whether all of that chaos in the late round will kind of come in. I'll leave Vertigo until we get there, because I'm a little bit worried with how it could play out, especially when we contrast that to VP versus Spirit yesterday when we ended up on Overpass. You know, that was kind of chaos and a little bit all over the place for VP, where Refinement is likely to come in for the game today, but then that small part in the back of my mind is saying that Vertigo could be thematically the same.
Well, look, it's time to see what Mirage is going to be before we can get to Vertigo. And like you said, we can cross the bridge of the mines, the TNT, all that good stuff when we actually get to them. Right now, it's about time for Mirage. It's a map that Akuma has dominated Virtuspro on in their previous showing. The question is, can they do it again? T-Time and Michael, Yumi Cassidy on the microphone with you guys, as always. And Michael, this is where I'm curious about whether we get the same reads again. VP, have they changed anything up? Are they going into this with hesitance? You know, what's going to be on their minds? And we're not going to be able to see that yet. But last time these two teams faced off against each other, Akuma was able to win out despite losing a pistol that looked like should have been there. VP can swing that one out. Maybe there's something to be done. Sensei's gone down. That's a good start for them. Keeker follows up with another. That's the man we said can be on the sideline sometimes, but right now he's sidelining them. Damn Q. Good response, though.
Yeah, Jackie's still under bulk, but he's going to get gushed immediately, so suddenly it's thrust into this 1v3 for Demq to try and pull off. He's already found these 2 frags, so he'd have to ace it back. There is not a kit available for him. And VP, they're being a bit slow about getting this bomb planted. It now rotates in, but identifying where Demq is repositioned is going to be a difficulty. They've already got spawn control, so they're limiting some of the options. Should understand that the possibilities for Demq will be somewhat limited.
He's going to come through over here. Nothing even to say. You've already had that armor tagged up. Good flick onto Buster, though. And that brings it back to a 1v2. I wouldn't call it doable without the kit yet. He needs to find a quick kill. But if nothing else, at the very least, we'll be getting a bit more money, making it slightly more costly. Their armor needs to be reinvested into. After all, Demq, though, now he's going to pretend to stick it. Now from behind will come Sanji as he swings out. It's going to be on the palace. Sanji's going to see him, shuts him down, makes it look easy. But it is Keeker's 2 frags where they're able to bring it all together.
Yeah, easy enough. And reading into some of the setup there from Akuma, you could see that slow lurk in towards mid. There was no utility there for Virtuspro on this T side, so it was going to be very pick dependent, but they were able to collapse on the bomb site very effectively. Then Akuma from there just couldn't recover. Good effort from Demq to at least get himself into the site, find some of those additional kills. And of course, Akuma going to force buy into the second round. The scout is out on Sensei, and he's got some cash in the back pocket so that an AWP can be afforded that first gun round. Psycho already taken his peek down mid, but Yakindar, they'd fallen back. There were so many players ready for that swing.
And you can see VP's a lot more ready for Akuma to be going for these mid-round aggressions, which they did show before as well. Very similarly, actually, to the previous time, Psycho was going for a lot of interesting peaks moving forward in the first 5 to 8 rounds, but after that, he really simmered down a fair bit. Now, though, Sergiz is going to try and put up a defense. CZ is his only friend, and that makes him a lonely boy. You know what they say? Michael, loneliness can kill you. Sanji looking to kill with a little bit more company as he keeps it going.
Oh, Sensei's going to get nothing from this either. Consolation frag here for Jackie. Keeping the armor will be a nice benefit for him. But I don't think that's going to be a possibility. Yakindar is on the hunt, and the instant triple headshot there on the MAC-10 just deletes him. So VP keeping things nice and clean in that second round. Always great to see. And not getting caught out quite so early.
Oh dear, we've got a menu popping up over here. Hey, these things happen.
Ah, man, you guys using the wrong audio settings.
You never know what's going to go wrong with those settings, you know? Well, regardless, we know what's going wrong with Akuma right now. They're dying, Michael, and apparently that is a disease that is deadly. Oh, Demq as well, quite deadly with the USB. Coming through with another few. He's been sharp on that so far. He's actually been quite good on the pistols all across the board. He had a few moments. I think more than him, I would point to Psycho with the Deagle. But yeah, VP over here, get some money up, get some confidence up. It's good that Yakindar has at least been able to get a little bit more involved early on this time, even if it is just a solitary few kills in the first few rounds. He is sitting on 5 0-0. And we saw how incredibly difficult how incredibly VP were struggling yesterday when Yekindar was having a bad game.
Yeah, refreshing to see that those opening duels are working out for them.
Ooh.
Don't know if Sensei's going to be able to quite pull this one off. Yeah, dancing between the two angles, but completely funneled in. Again, the big premium number there for VP to keep that economy rolling here on this T side. Finally, a chance to respond here on Akuma. Now, I want to keep an eye out for Sensei's positioning. Whether Sergiz and Psycho look for opportunities, especially over towards that B side where we saw Sergiz try and push for information, especially in critical moments. And with the momentum already swinging into VP's favor, considering how close some of the rounds were the last time these two teams matched up, could potentially see a play being made. A very standard setup from both teams to start things off.
Michael, I'm interested to see whether VP takes a note out of Gambit's book, but I'm going to hold a thought because that book's going to be closed. Keeker's moving forward. There's a man on the stairs and one on default. Default's taken downstairs, can't peek. The flashbang timing is good, and Psycho will suffer because of it. Two smokes, very different from the normal execute. This gives Keeker a lot more room to go around, but Demq's found one in the meanwhile. Sensei tagged up by the molly, flashed up and forced back, but it's Demq that denied the bomb as the smoke did dissipate. They missed the timing, and now they're missing the round. Keeker left alone. He's already found 2 frags. He needs to make it 3 more, but at least he can guarantee the bomb plant and get some money.
Considering how well this round started out, the fact that it's collapsed to this, really surprising that he comes into a clutch moment. 1v3, he's tagged to 35. They know exactly where he is, and they're waiting for the flank here on Akuma. But no, as he goes for the swing, Sensei still posted. And that'll be the first round here from the CT side. They get the double entry. You know, they went for an A-side execute. It was a fast burst, and it worked out wonders, but then just kind of collapsing as those smokes faded, and Akuma were there on the rotation.
And that all comes down to Demq being able to find that first kill. It provides so much chaos just because he's spamming through. The M4A1 is always good for that through the smoke. They're not able to detect the tracers, fire back, anything. They lose one player and then they panic. And VP, you can see their protocols crumbling there because the smoke timing on the connector meant that it was dissipating and the bomb was being planted in the open after there was already a player who had revealed himself. So Demq gets that second one, immediately starts circling back for the flank because he knows he's bought enough time, and in the meanwhile, his teammates have already gotten the kills necessary to turn it into an impossible situation. Sensei now, good start, but actually misses out a chance to maybe take down Yekindar.
Trying to force that player out. Molotov will hit the mark, but Yekindar made the other side of it.
It's quite cool. I don't think I've seen that one before.
Just being quite sneaky about it. Doesn't want to get picked out so early. He already suffered enough at the hands of Spirit.
Yeah. Don't want to get that extra treatment. So many times died through mid, man. Poor guy.
Yeah, it's quite difficult to watch.
Oh,
imagine being on the receiving end.
Over here, and that's what they're going for. Sensei's got the frag and dropped the bomb as well. Has time to back off, but Sanji's already on the bomb site. Sensei is going to be circled in from this side. Does get one as he flicks away. Back to a 5v3. Akuma, a hot start to this round yet again. It seems like things are in their control, and Yekindar is going to try to fight back. Finds the first. Now, moving through. Time's taken down, and he's not checked the angle. Sergiz was present. He was the man who gave the boost earlier on as well. And with that, VP are crumbling.
The fact that they'd slowed them down so much so they weren't predicting that another player could have been rotated so quickly into the site, and Akuma has still swarmed this. VP not showing any signs of backing down, and they don't really have the time to go anywhere else. 20 seconds left. Move to save. Seems like 15 seconds there. Cowering. You can understand, there's no utility. They know that Akuma are there in heavy presence, and they are not peeking. You know, they're not giving VP those opportunities to swing the round back into their favor.
I mean, VP's just lucky that Akuma can't hunt at this point. Otherwise, Jackie coming there to block out the retreat would have made it a very difficult round to save in even. Akuma's money not good enough, though, to go for that sort of risk yet. But now double op is there for them. I like the play that they went for over there. You know, Sensei, the boost, we haven't seen that one so far. Actually, one thing I really like from Sensei is that I thought he was being manhandled by Gambit. yesterday because of the nades they kept throwing towards connector. It was really disrupting Sensei's peaks over there. So Sensei's changing things up a lot more. Not relying on connector as much so far. I say that and he goes to connector, Michael. This is why I'm a play-by-play in your color. Oh. Nasty.
Good pick from James to start things off, though. The rest of the team were congregated at that B bomb site, and this is going to stretch the defenses thinner here for Akuma. Sensei's actually making his way on over. They're trying to swap out positions, see if this AWP can get his way onto the B bomb site, and he's made the right read here for the AWP.
Oh, Sergez, got to be careful as he's trying to run back now. Very low on his HP. Sensei firing away, but James is too good. He's got all the angles, even being elevated up there in the apartments. Buster, meanwhile, gets another one. Suddenly, it's a round that they have snuck away. Virtuspro had no right to take this one out, and so far, not a single casualty.
Another call to save. Oh, a little bit awkward there from Psycho. Could have resulted in him losing his rifle, but we'll keep hold of it. Jackie should be able to hold on to that AWP as well. Really good stuff to see here from Virtuspro. I think one of the criticisms we had earlier on was that they were struggling in these opening duels, but being able to pick into these bomb sites as successfully as they've seen so far, it's a really good look. And one thing I think was kind of missing from a lot of their game plan, if so much is hinged around the success of players like Yakindar or even the likes of Kickert in some of these entry pathways, then, I mean, greater success, greater round conversion. Teams are not going to let rounds slip when they've got that 5 versus 4 advantage too often.
Also, you can't go wrong when James getting those kills either in all fairness.
Yeah.
He's looking very sharp on the op, despite only having had 2 kills so far. Very important ones, to say the least. Now, Akuma can't equalize there. They do still have another buy around available, but Yakindar, that's a connector smoke, if I am not wrong, going out. But I do tend to be wrong. Oh, nice shot from James on a Psycho, really exploiting him there. He was prioritizing that position quite a lot, and Yakindar's even found space to push through. That Molotov's is perfectly played. Jackie, meanwhile, gets one, but he's been cornered in. He wasn't expecting a man in connector. And that's where Kikard and Yakindar are going to continue their party. The streamers are flying. The blood is spilling. Unfortunately for them, it is their own.
3v3 on this site. There's a flank coming here for Akuma. They're waiting for Surgis to get into position, playing this retake, and trying to feign out the fact that they're simply waiting for these smokes to fade. Timing on this is going to be absolutely crucial. VP still not committing to this plant as of yet. In fact, redeployment of utility themselves. I don't think they're going to be reading into Surgis' positioning. It's too quick.
And Surgis should be able to find the kill immediately. Sees the hip of James, fires into it. No waiting for a headshot or the sort. Oh no, Surgis. Oh, careful now. Buster and Kikard are still alive. They can do a lot in this round. Even now, Kikard spots out the first player, repositions, and now has to take care of Surgis, who's still up top. He's trying to corner out the Under Palace player, but now he's been spotted and can't go anywhere. The CT's losing players on their points of first contact makes it that Surgis can't really push out from Palace and will be forced to just try and get some kills while they are retreating. The AWP can be recovered and saved, so something salvaged, but Akuma, those 2 duels going the way of Buster and Kikard are beautiful. And Michael, I just want to quickly touch on Yakindar's play there into the connector after, as we do actually have our Paramatch odds as well, I believe, coming up on the screen over here. Very good odds for VP, considering how badly they lost before. I quite like those. I think they're fairly fair. And, of course, if you want to check out our partners, you can scroll down, find the Twitch banner, and click on those. But you'll even get a bonus when you're first deposit. But, yeah, Yakindar, the Molotov that he and his teammates threw over towards connector allows for that small gap in the flames. James finds one, beautifully done. And Yakindar just, he's not even giving me enough time to give him praise, Michael. It's just not happening.
More things to praise. The success on these gun rounds for VP on the entry has been kind of a joy to watch, considering the performance they've had in this tournament in these opening duels. Once again, we see that response here from Akuma over towards B for Surgis to get aggressive, but it's going to take something special here for Akuma to turn this one round.
Oh, Jackie caught out. That's
that ain't it.
That isn't it. Hey, at least this gives me time to talk about that round, Michael.
Yep.
Yeah. So the Molotov that Virtuspro actually threw, that was incredibly deliberate. That gives Yakindar a lot more space to have a gap in the Molotov to be able to climb into the connector. That's why Jackie... Oh, baby. Yes, Yakindar, please. movement.
Make your point, man.
So, listen, he keeps doing really cool stuff. But yeah, so that's why Jackie wasn't actually checking inside the connector, and he was caught off guard by Keycard over there as well. It's a very small thing, but it's similar to a Molotov that OG threw on Dust 2 for quite a while, which only burned out half of the middle area. It's a really small adjustment, but it just, these teams make it work so wonderfully.
Yeah, sometimes the small details are all that's needed to edge a player out of position and just change the way that they react to the utility. I think one of the problem positions we identified in not only the VP game, but also up against Gambit, is that Akuma were doing a very good job of shutting down the connector as well on that CT side. Psycho, as of right now, hasn't had that same level of efficacy, frequently getting entry fragged and pushed far faster than he's anticipating. You could see that VP have changed the pace, I think, significantly on this T side. It felt like they were just waiting far too long and making late round rotations. So much more commitment coming out from them to start off this first half.
Surges. I haven't seen him getting aggressive all that often so far. Well, that is something that we're outlining as a bit of a hallmark of his play on the CG side.
Has been doing it when they've been at man deficits, but
yeah.
Jackie went for an exploration today, and he's been punished. So this slow approach here from VP, the fact that they're holding for these pushes, especially against the Deagles, a good amount of caution being implemented here.
Oh. All right, Psycho using the one-way quite nicely for himself. Just gets down one more. The AK not in a recoverable spot as Jaime is trying to move forward and collect it. He's abandoned his weapon in the meanwhile. Psycho is getting another one, though, and suddenly things are interesting. Surges can start to move over as well. The rotation is good, and the Molotov is not. Psycho still nestled away. Surges is getting another shot in. Keycard's ducked down, so that means that he's not going to be spotted out by Surges, and has brought the score back in their favor. But with 20 seconds on the clock and it's still ticking down, there's nothing they can do to get the bomb unless they get the frags. And Surges, he's found another one. Buster will be able to get the plant, but he's lost his teammates in the meanwhile. And as he's going to try to move forward, will be looking for the first deal. Flashbang, though, blinds him out, and he's forced to duck out of sight, and an op is recovered. Dem Q. Now moving forward, scoped in. Buster, if he moves out for a second, he's going to go down. Surges has picked up the AK as well. Buster is going to be nestled in on both sides. They'll be peeking him sooner rather than later. Surges might be looking to get aggressively on top of the fireboxes, and that's where Buster just can't do it.
Yeah, he was the big man for the squad, but it's a little bit too close for comfort, even in a round like that for VP. They were doing so well to play it out passively, but these Deagles have struck again for Akuma. They were really solid on these half buys in previous matchups, and an actual chance as well for them to kind of slingshot off the back of this as well.
VP also did not look very good against the Force Spies yesterday, to say the least.
Especially on Overpass, which will be the second map in the series, so hopefully some changes have been implemented. Worry for VP fan nerves across the world. The anxiety.
Indeed. Ooh.
See, that CT side economy has recoiled quite heavily as a result of that win. They've got a buffer built up.
Yeah.
And considering that Akuma like these aggressive plays, that can go a long way. Jackie's once again playing these off angles on this A bomb site, but it's left a gap and Psycho's been exposed as a result. Jackie gets nothing.
Sense is still alive and trying to fight back and trying to prevent the Palace players from proceeding forward, but the flashbang will force him back and allows space for the bomb to be planted. Keycard, it's in the open. So good for pretty much everywhere. Dem Q has in the meanwhile moved past the Molotov, but they still can't move through, and that means they might be forced to save. These nades are just keeping them at bay for so long, and VP with an earlier execute are making it work. Dem Q will get one, but it's beyond the grave, and Akuma, they can't afford to lose these players like that. Dem Q just finished off over there. Surges, once again, maybe might be able to catch out a player, but Yekindar is just hyper aware of this. You can just see the difference in how more Like, how much more comfortable VP are if they go
Yeah.
pull the trigger slightly earlier and they have the utility to keep them at bay? Akuma, so far, they've just been waiting for the utility to run out because they're like, hey, you already used your Maldives.
And I think aside from that anti-eco, they've been again. I'll express that the conviction behind their play as well has been evident. You know, we saw a lot of hesitance, and you know they would reconsider strategies. They'd go from the A bomb side to the B bomb side. They'd try and run these sort of double bluffs that really didn't pan out for them. And you know, sometimes keeping it simple can, in fact, work out for you. So VP certainly reflecting on their prior losses.
I know this execute, Michael. I know what they're going for. Of
Jackie
course,
seems to have an idea.
Yeah, well, Jackie doesn't unfortunately have a shot. Flashbang comes over from the CT side as well. Will be able to delay them, but it is very temporary as Yekindar is trying to move onto the bomb side and into CT spawn. The Molotovs will make it so Dem2 can't peek out, and although he should be able to delay them for a while with utilities, the bomb is still going to go down. Zerg is still... Oh, Yekindar caught out by Sensei. That could be big.
Oh my god.
He saw the cap of his head, but Dem2 will not fall to James. It's Buster to get it, but traded away immediately. Sanji keeps it going from triple, and Circus and Sensei still cornered in. Once again, boxed in the connector and jungle, but unable to pursue. Sensei knows that eventually you'll have to go for one of these rounds, but has decided that this isn't it, and you can see why.
VP dictating the pace massively in this game. Exactly how you want to be to start off a series, not to mention on this T side. And of course, with this being Akuma's pick into the series, VP opted to go for the T side start.
Yeah. And I love to see the fact that VP is really not giving Akuma any respect. Like, the peaks that they're going for, the fact that they're trying again and again, hey, we're just going to sneak someone in silently. Hey, we're just going to bull rush them with a standard default execute, and we're just going to get the entry kills because we're better. And that's something really refreshing to see. Akuma, Sensei, though, has a word about that. And word to stop going up mid. But Akuma... You know, we've criticized that, hey, sometimes strategically they look great, but mechanically they can look a little bit weaker. VP are completely exploiting that right now.
Yeah, the entry success for VP is that much higher. Finally, this is a round in which Akuma have actually found themselves in an advantage where VP will have to look to respond. This is often where VP can sometimes be a bit indecisive, almost waiting far too long to make their move. Which, especially with how Akuma like to play things out, can lead to stacks coming their direction, especially when you're in disadvantaged states. You don't want to have to fight every player on that particular bomb site.
They don't want to go full Rambo mode.
Yeah. Been praising the change in methodology for VP. So especially in moments like this, we could see some heavy adaptations. Still very split up here on this T side. Waiting to see if Akuma investigate, and you can understand why. I
love this angle from Jackie. Jackie plays a lot of these close-range angles really well, and that's exactly what he does there. Molotov is not going to help out Kikard much because he's already backed off, and now that he peeks in, there's two to deal with.
Molly.
Psycho, he's down to two, not quite brought down, though, and that means that Akuma is still maintaining a full Hale and Hardy 5-man. But 15 seconds on the clock means VP basically given up this round. They can't get up onto the bomb side in time. They'll have to save, and they are backing off to do so here and now. Michael, this is where, again, Akuma, you know, maybe a little bit more early aggression is what can net them a better start. We've seen VP being the ones dictating the pace continually. This is the first time we've seen Sensei truly, I think, succeed, other than once into A main with an early op pick. And VP just slow down immediately.
Yeah. It's a different style from both sides of the coin. I think Akuma were very good at kind of pushing the advantage so that they would actually secure more round wins. There's obviously inherent risks that come with that type of aggression. And VP trying to sort of read that step ahead, but Akuma not taking that gamble, really working out for them in that manner.
Oh!
Another success here for Sensei off the bat.
I love this from Sensei. He's really starting to step up and bring it to them. It's something you want to see from an opper who needs to carry his team through. And on CT side of Mirage, without it, it can be very difficult. You haven't seen them going for aggressive A main control all that often. Nothing of the sort makes it harder to go into apartments either. So Sensei has all the more to do. And as he's peak forward, James been the one to get his number. So many op deals won by James so far, but it does still seem like Sensei's had more impact overall. However, James not needed it the same way. The flashbang drives him away. Jackie in pursuit, even picks up the op, but Yekindar has broken through connector in the meanwhile. Demq to defend. Jakey has got an op of his own, and he is making it work.
Separated here, that bomb and Kickert. Buster will have to win this duel individually, and Jackie's got an op, so his attention will be dragged towards one direction. Feet spotted. That's an easy frag for Buster, but has to come up clutch.
Buster's moving through. He's going to see the first, but can't quite trace out Demq there. It looked like his crosser was on point, but he just wanted to move it away just for a split second. That's the power of a good off angle, man. You're kicking yourself right after you move that crosshair away. VP, although they had accrued a pretty sizable advantage, that advantage is swiftly being lost when you combine the fact that they've been quite a few rounds without, players dying. So lost bonus not really able to accrue the same way. They're up to their last limbs. If this force buy doesn't work out, 7's on the menu for Akuma. Okay, Sensei, that's one way to kill James.
Still so much to learn from the Sensei.
Oh, Demq. Oh, I love this angle from Yekindar.
Jump.
Makes it. Okay, maybe less so. I do love the angle. I just, sometimes it doesn't work. Psycho, meanwhile, peeking into connector, knows where Sanji is off for the boost and the Molotov, and now Psycho's just here to clean up. He knows the round is probably already theirs, but VP, they've got to fight for it. I don't think saving's really possible for them this time. Buster is thinking about how the 1v5 could possibly go his way, and it turns out it couldn't.
Well, talk about that money breaking down here for VP if they weren't able to win that round. Not really the ideal circumstance to find yourself in. Full buy on your opponents. And, you could gamble on a couple of rifles if you really wanted to, but we could very well end up with a faster-paced round. SMGs.
Do VP have anything extra in the tank for this kind of round? It does look like it might just be a faster B-sided play, and Sensei's not there to interrupt this time over. Kikurt's even moved past actually quite quickly with the Mach 10, and it can be deadly. Almanek has shown us that many, many times over, but this is a very strong angle actually specifically to counter out that Mach 10.
Well, 3 players close by. The nade could be a sitter. Yeah, decent damage. Yekindar taking the brunt of it.
And Kikurt's looking to hop right out. Is going to be caught out midair, though. That's Demq to get one. Circus is following up, and Demq just has to stay alive for a while longer. Make sure that if they drop, he can isolate. A smoke at his feet will buy time, but Yekindar has bought his life out. Only in exchange of his own. A 2-on-4, where Buster and Sanji, they are going to be trying to find a little bit more done. They're isolating out these players, and before the CTs can bring back up, they want to get at least one more. Buster misses the chance, though, as Jackie was mid-air, and that'll be the end of it all. Sanji can't get it done. Circus with his own P250 will make things look a little bit cleaner. And Michael, what a half coming through already. We had Sensei coming out from nowhere to be able to clean things up and really give them a slightly better chance there.
Yeah, and we saw Sensei mainly have his impact on the T side of this map, but especially when they started to almost look down and out, that's where we started to see Sensei get opening success after opening success on that AWP. Something we noted as well is that for both of these AWPers, they seem to kind of almost be in each other's heads in some respects. We saw a lot of AWP v AWP duels where, even in this game as well, the rematch, James is coming out on top in some of those engagements. When his teammates are getting picked, the slower approach from VP has been hard to manage and really adapt properly to. But it's good to see that VP started off hot and Akuma aren't just going to keel over and die. They made these small adaptations and got Sensei much more involved.
Yeah, and that's obviously incredibly important going into the next round as well. We've seen how good Sensei can be with the AWP on the T side. Now, of course, I believe the pistol round has actually started. We should be able to switch over to that in just a second. But while we're waiting, I'll guide you guys through the action. Akuma's going for a standard A side execute. Jungle smoke and stair smoke coming through. Bombs being planted right now. It's a 5-on-5. VP don't have a kit, but they're all clustered around Connector and company as they start to move forward. Demq's found a kill through a smoke onto the stairs player. That's shame to go down. And now VP, the B bomb site, had a couple of too many players, and they're starting to come back. They're coming from CT, while Yekindar's gone for an A main flank. He's got a quick kill. He's got one more, but it's actually Sergis who's shut down. This retake from VP is fantastic, and it's only Jackie and Sensei left. It's a 2-on-2 though, as Jackie's got another headshot, and Sensei on top of the firebox playing from the side. We'll see where Sanji is, but Sanji gets a jump. The time though might be running a little bit lower, and Sanji, it's going to be close to the wire, keeps it going through right to the very end, and Sanji's gonna have it barely with 0.2 seconds left. Managed to get it away. Damn. Should have seen it.
Yeah, it's a radio cast, but it's quite a close one. We hear the beeps, but
yeah,
maybe it's a little bit hard to see in our expression just how awkward it does feel. Either way, those two players for VP coming up big on the clutch. Jackie almost pulled that off, you know, hitting some really clean headshots. Thought he could have clutched it back for Akuma, but instead, VP have won that pistol. Again, a great way to keep that ball rolling for them, especially with the momentum shifting in Akuma's favor towards the tail end of that first half.
Michael, are we gonna have you switch to minimap camera again? Is that what we're doing over here?
We'll try and avoid it. We'll see how far this lasts for. Yakindar opening frag in the force buy here for Akuma. After getting that plant down, they decided to go with some rifles. They do miss out on some utility by doing so, and that early aggression isn't rewarded.
And VP have got 4 players around that top mid area. They haven't really got much space. Sorry, not VP. Dear God. Akuma, rather. Yeah, even I'm getting confused at this point, and I actually see the game. So, yeah, Yekindar so far from Connector has actually found 2 kills, and Akuma's having a really hard time getting past that middle area where they haven't gotten to Connector yet. All 3 of their players are even clustered together. It's a force spike coming out from them after the bomb plant, so they do have 3 rifles, but Psycho's got an AK, Sergey's got a Galil, Sergey's got armor. Don't know why the Galil hasn't been switched out, but, you know, it's just one of those small things. But
Sanji is full cleared B in the meanwhile, so we're seeing VP actually stack over towards A.
I've got 4 players basically here. 2 are in CT spawn. Yekindar's still at jungle. Yekindar's overwhelmed by Sergis actually, and that could be an opening. Sergis is the only player who's actually gone onto the bomb site so far. They might be looking to fake out as if the bomb's going back towards B, but VP with 20 seconds on the clock, note that that's not really a possibility. Sergis goes down to Kikert, who was nestled away in CT spawn, and Demq's faking a plan out opposite of triple where he's hoping that Kikert will be forced out in the angle. Thanks, Michael. I appreciate that all the time. Sanji, though, coming in from Palace, does take him down, leaving Psycho alone in a 1-on-4 where he'll just be saving the AK.
Yeah, not much you can do in this position. So saving that AK is going to hold a whole lot of value, especially when Akuma have been going for these aggressive plays. It actually forces Akuma to kind of play around this, it feels like. Their money is not really that great. And in fact, the fact that Psycho had the AK and a Deeg with no armor, they invest in some armor on Jackie and see if he can get some action going his way. They sort of half buy around it, considering the economic circumstance they're in. Worst case scenario would be if Psycho once again doesn't die, but imagine Akuma's pace will be fast enough that that isn't enabled. Ooh, Yakindar's tempting fate a little bit, going for an aggro peek up mid just to see and suss out what Akuma are up to.
Well, I think we might be actually about to head into the game now. So, Michael, thank you, Mr. Cameraman. And many regards.
Yeah, say. I can come back once again. Transition.
Ah, yes. I get to see Michael's face instead of what my face was like during puberty. But yeah, lots of spots all running around over there. That's how it went. But Jackie, actually, for a second there, I thought they might have just brought down Kikert, but he's just tagged up a bit. And Buster is the one getting the important headshots. AK is pretty heavily in the hands of VP as they continue to fight back. Jackie good for 1, but the trades are just there. Kikert's been fantastic over here on the CT area, and Sanji will just be the finisher. Picks up an AK as well for his troubles, and VP up 11-7. Good start to their CT side.
Now a real proving moment. We saw Sensei just go for some really crazy stuff on the AWP. Some peaks that should kind of go punished. We saw VP kind of aggroing through those B apartments very frequently as well when Akuma were going for A-sided setups that Akuma actually were able to read into when it came to it. He could almost getting caught in transition as he went for an aggro jump down mid, but falling away and even had a couple of chances himself. Yekindar wants more from this though.
Oh, so it goes. Oh, Yakinda's just able to find yet another one over there. This is just a cleanup from Virtuspro coming out. It doesn't look like Akuma's got anything. This is very similar to what we had yesterday, Michael, where VP up against Spirit, it's a lot of back and forth, it's a lot of, mistakes coming through, and then suddenly out of nowhere, VP get to the CT side and it's like, punching bag mode is on for the other team and just getting destroyed.
This is a complete role reversal, it feels like. Very infrequently have we seen Akuma with the strategic advantage in these rounds. And some of that is predicated off of the early round successes. And I think confidence being struck down substantially when it comes to this. You're going to take more of these risks when nothing is going wrong, but now that things are going wrong, they've kind of turtled up.
Oh, nice, going to get some damage onto DemQ. Buster comes out from the side, does find one in the meanwhile, and this is all about cleaning up those anti-ecos. VP cannot afford to lose these. That's where Akuma can get a small little angle back into things. But now, 3v3, bomb can be planted. VP have to come through with a retake, and that's where Yakindar could be very impactful.
See, they were considering it for just a moment, but the timing for Yakindar may just work out.
Oh, perfect stuff from Yakindar. He's been so good this entire game, leaving only Surges alone in a 1v3 sitting inside the smoke. Are they going to check this? James is spamming away, but he might just go down. James, though, gets a reload right in time, and that's going to be the defuse to come through. Yakindar gets it done. Man, he's been so good this entire series, and that's exactly what you want to see coming up from VP.
Yeah, and what we thought was missing from some of their game. The fact that Yakindar is one of the front men to this band, and if the vocalist does come across pitchy every once in a while, it's understandable. There are good days and bad days, but getting the full vocal range here from Yakindar.
Yakindar. Ooh. All that thought, Psycho's the one who's actually moving past. Yakindar inside. I can never tell if that's a one-way or not when the smoke's that deep into the windows. It's always very confusing. But it's actually Buster who's missing a few shots but still does manage to recover the spray. Psycho will fall as a result of that, and again the early advantage is going away, but this time Sensei will respond. And is this going to be another case of what we had in the first half where Sensei just turns it up to 60?
I think a massive focal point for Akuma, both sides of this map, has been the limited successes of Psycho. CT side was a bit of a struggle, now getting shot in the back and losing a duel where he had a chance himself. See how Akuma adapt, much faster paced in how they move around this 4v4. That top connector presence from Jeki, it's all about pulling the pin at the right moment. There is a flank coming again. Sanji is pushed through B, so he has all of that information at VP moving to stack.
James does go forward, and that's an easy kill for him. Keeker had to defend him, though, and now James going to fight his way out of the flames. Zergis has got two, and with flashbangs, it's going to be Buster who's forced back. But Sanji's always there at the perfect time, it seems like, and he's got the trigger discipline as well. One kill's guaranteed, but can he make it more? Sees another and knows where every single one of these players are, and they're just not expecting it, but Zergis! Perfect timing coming out for him, leaving only Buster, and he'll fight for it for sure. They've got the money to do just that, and Nade comes in as well. Sensei, however, just too patient. Shot can't be baited, and Buster will end up falling. That looked like it could have been everything, but it just doesn't work out for them. And if I'm not wrong, we've got our partner odds from Paramount. They're not looking optimistic.
No, not
Akuma's prospects.
Yeah, not looking good at all. And even considering how well that round was looking for VP, that could have been 14. You can see that those odds are very skewed in their favor. Of course, you can click the banner down below. Hook yourself up with a bonus on your first deposit. Of course, legal restrictions do apply. Make sure you're the illegal betting age. And is that even legal from James? Peeking around the fire, Demke thought he had enough coverage, but
yeah,
James.
I thought for a second Demke's going to get that for sure. His crosser was on point. James just too fast.
Yeah.
He's been really good this series about those one-on-one duels especially. Oh, yes.
We very infrequently saw Yakindar pick up that secondary AWP, but already finding effectiveness from it.
Meanwhile, Sanji even finds one before he goes down to the Molotovs. It was an impossible situation for him, but getting one is so big. Leave Sensei completely on his lonesome. Drops down, Buster's ready, and Virtuspro have found their 14th. That's a really good streak from VP coming out so far. Lots of dominance. And Michael, you were saying, yeah.
Yeah, the activations are all there. Maybe, you know, Kickert kind of surprising. Someone that you kind of highlighted as being another element that could be used to VP's favor. But the fact that we saw him taking a lot of successful entry fights over on the T side, and then kind of being in the right places on CT has been really good. I almost feel bad as well for Sanji. You know, he's gotten so much information in these rounds for VP, but kind of very little has come from it in terms of his own fragging. See, Akindar is really confident in the way he's fighting for that mid control, making Akuma very uncomfortable.
So it goes. Sweating. Sensei, though, he sees that first play. Oh, no. Yakindar. That could have been a lifeline for Akuma to come through. But Yakindar dodges that bullet. Makes it look easy. And so many times we've seen Akuma just being stuck over here in top mid. They can't really proceed forward without the kill. And more often than not, Yakindar is good for at least one or two of his own in the meanwhile, which just delays them further. But this 5-man default down mid is really a little bit of a strange one. It makes more sense when you don't have the utility and don't have the weaponry. But right now, they've actually managed to creep through into connector. Yakindar finds Psycho, who's trying to keep a lockout on short. But Jackie and Demke are combining forces to get some stuff done. Unfortunately, Buster is the man from B short who's come through with 1 and 2, but not the third. Demke, a single point of HP is what separates him from the final frontier. But what separates them from the bomb site might be a little bit too much.
Yeah, they're re-navigating back towards that B-bomb site. They have separated here on the side of Akuma, but playing separately when you are in as bad a circumstance as this.
Dying, yes, is the technical word for that.
It's kind of best of luck. I can't trade you.
Oh, and VP just positioned themselves so magnificently. Sergis is going to go down over here. And this triangle that they make where James is flanking in from Palace ensures that there's basically no way they'll lose that round regardless of the decision that Akuma makes. It's a perfect way to play that 3v2, where the only thing that's going to really maybe come back to bite you if there's some sort of individual moment of brilliance or some sort of weird, like, oh, hey, he just looked at this angle, like when Sergis looked at Sanji earlier.
And the timing for that connector play there from Akuma actually was very good. You know, Yakindar, that was a blind spot in what he was able to hold down middle. The fact that he picked off one and then they collapsed on A so rapidly, that was a very open opportunity for Akuma.
This is so good from Yakindar. He's got himself the double one-way. He'd make 2 kills. This is perfect. And even James there to back him up. 3 openers coming out for VP in the first 20 seconds. That's so well played from Yakindar. He uses the top mid smoke that he's relying Akuma to throw along with his connector smoke while Buster just rains down fire and brimstone. And that's going to be Virtuspro taking the first 16-8. Akuma, this is the upset team that rocked VP earlier, but I guess they're back with a vengeance.
Yeah, and I don't think there is any doubt that a lot of work has gone into understanding how they had to approach this Mirage. I think we just confidence-wise, saw the disparity so many times, especially on that CT side. It felt like VP weren't fighting for that mid-control that Akuma just got over and over again. You could see Yakindar was feeling it himself and taking a lot of those fights by himself. You know, he would have Buster occasionally fighting from short as well to mix things up in mid. And you could see how uncomfortable that made Akuma, especially on that T side when they had to try and come back. VP grabbing this game with both hands and not letting go. You know, the fact that we saw that momentum carry over to that second half, really good signs for them. And
that's going to be something we're looking at for Overpass as well. They had a slightly more of a back and forth performance on at least one half, but we'll have a lot more to talk about in the regards to Overpass in just a while. We're going to go to a short break, and when we're back, there'll be more fantastic Counter-Strike action, more shenanigans, more Virtuspro shots fired, and maybe even some more retaliation from Akuma, and if we're really unlucky, maybe even more minimap head. That being said, though, we've got to go to a short break. See you guys in a while.
There are only few seconds to close this round. A headshot, nice. Fist bumps go to the teammates.
I wanna hear ya go, go, go. Make them feel your smashing blow. Win the round. Rise to fame. Hold the ground.
Pretty much. They play, you win.
You cashed in on my promises. You know I'm too generous. Now I've learned to never help you out. 'Cause I'm done cleaning up your mess. Found myself in my regrets. I've become a little stronger now. A little stronger now. Cashed in on my promises. You know I'm too generous. Now I've learned to never help you out. 'Cause I'm done cleaning up your mess. Found myself in my regrets. I've become a little stronger now. A little stronger.
Open eye, feel the waves cut through me. Hypnotized by the sounds I'm breathing in. Hold tight, chemicals collide. Hold tight, hold tight, hold tight. Dripping lights paint the skies, all because of you. Dripping lights paint the skies, only you can make me move. Can make me move. Can make me can make
Hold me close till I get up. Time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah, no, I don't wanna waste what's left. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways. And on we'll go.
it even mean? Is there even such a thing? Ooh, can we switch up all the rules and imagine a utopia? Darling, I'm just so fed up with these expectations. They keep weighing me down. My heart is begging me to get the hell out of my head. I'm gonna live inside the upside down for a minute and pretend, honey, I'm a perfect 10. Whoa, whoa, honey, I'm a perfect 10. Whoa, whoa, and if I say it enough, it gets ingrained in my head, and I start to see, honey, I'm a perfect 10. Honey, I'm a perfect 10. Whoa, honey, I'm a perfect 10. Honey, I'm a, yeah. Honey, I'm a perfect 10.
I'm on my own, broken alone. I feel the rain crashing down all around this empty town. I'm searching for the lost and found, but you don't care, you're unaware. Keep moving like the scars aren't even there. It's in the air like a blazing flare. Just stare 'cause the flames will burn us. I thought you were the one for me. That's why I gave you everything. Held you close by the stormy seas. Oh, you meant the world to me. I used to kiss your head when you cried for me. Hold your hand while the pain was over. Keep you warm by the roaring sea. Oh, you meant the world to me. Oh, you meant the world to me. Oh, you meant the world to me. My darling dear, you're never here. When I'm in pain, you hide and disappear. Like shadows in the atmosphere, charting the stratosphere. Yeah. I prayed for you and kept you near, in hopes you'd chase away my fears. I'm on my own, you made it so, and now I'm chasing nightmares through. I used to run with you through the great big leaves, laugh at you when you laugh at me. Hope for us because I believe the home was just you and me. I thought you were the one for me. That's why I gave you everything. Held you close by the stormy seas. Oh, you meant the world to me. Oh, you meant the world to me. Oh, you meant the world to me.
Do you remember how you held me then? Now you got me reaching out. And do you see you got me falling in more times than I can get out. Down in the deep of my mind, I call for you and you're always in
There are only a few seconds to close this round. A headshot. Nice. Fist bumps go to the teammates.
I wanna hear you go, go, go. Make them feel your smashing blow. Win the round. Rise to fame. Hold the ground.
Pretty much. They play, you win.
And we're back. The upstarts have had a game taken away from them, and Virtuspro are looking to get revenge in the best way possible by getting a place in the grand finals. Right now, though, at least one map still separates them from taking down Akuma. Overpass, their own map pick, is coming up next. I'm Tate. I'm joined by none other than Michael Yumi Cassidy to break down all the action. Michael, we've had a pretty fantastic Mirage coming out from VP and now going into Overpass. It's a map we saw from him yesterday. Very good CT side. Very what the hell is happening T side. Break it down for me. What the hell is going to happen for VP?
Yeah, I mean, we got to see the same signs of life from Buster in this game, and that was always a massive benefit for them when we saw them on Overpass. I think when we end up on the T side for VP, we're hoping that some refinement comes through. You know, we did see them with that same level of sort of ideas coming through in the early stages of rounds, but would often go for long rotates where they'd get caught out. And that's a testament as well to the likes of Spirit, of course, their opponents on Overpass, just being aggressive in the mid round, where that's also a strength of Akuma. So whether or not we see Akuma kind of turtle up a little bit more, you know, it didn't feel like their timings were quite as quick on how they were pushing. Primarily, I think because VP were adapting so well on Mirage, are they then going to be as prepared as well for Akuma on Overpass, given that there were a couple different ways that this draft could have actually panned out?
Well, look, one other place where we did get to see Akuma perform yesterday was on Overpass, and we saw Sensei trying to go for a lot of these early aggressive peaks, and that's where Gambit was very well prepared to counter him out in particular. It felt like although he was going for these aggressive peaks, they weren't really ever finding or bearing fruit, and that's something we can't really say is true when it comes to Mirage, because CT side, a lot of the rounds where they were able to catapult themselves back into relevancy were off the back of him being a pretty fantastic opera. So I'm curious to see whether VP have got his number coming into Overpass or not, especially considering that when it came to the actual 1v1 off versus off duels, Jane was winning out pretty much all of them. So it's an interesting dynamic established there, which is that if it continues, Sensei's trying to run away from Jane, but he's trying to find literally everyone else. So that should be a fun one to watch out for.
And it'll be interesting as well whether VP can calm the storm of these anti-force buys, because that was something that plagued them throughout Overpass. Last time we saw them, Akuma have shown a very high proficiency in rounds like that because of the nature of their gameplay. Either side of the map, you know, they can play very individually, and all of a sudden, you know, just have these blowout moments where we were praising Buster and Sanji for having some fantastic Deagle headshots. Akuma are just as proficient, especially on those hand cannons.
And this is where we're also going to have to look at Circus, because he delivered us a fantastic individual performance yesterday. He was really able to get aggressive very often. The CT side was a pain in the side for Gambit. And when I say side, I mean literally the side of the map, because it felt like long control was always established by him. He always seemed to have playground control. And this is where it gets interesting, because Virtuspro themselves also actually will, well, not that much anymore, but a couple of months ago were prioritizing playground control fairly often as well. So I'm actually quite interested to see how this works out between them. There seems to be a lot of common ground that's going to be contested when you really break down these styles.
Yeah, of course, Akuma would have come in with that preparation layer ahead of their Gambit game, and we even talked about how they may not have anticipated Gambit and the squad to move with an Overpass pick. So there's even that chance that coming into this series, that I had the idea that VP would stick to their guns, and maybe Akuma makes that same assumption. Maybe there isn't that additional layer, but there's still enough to draw on from that Gambit game where they can maybe still rely on the likes of Sergiz to go for those information plays, but it's just about how frequently he does it, because we saw the adaptation come in from Gambit and how efficient and effective it was, because Akuma started playing so safe on that CT side, which is something that I don't feel like can happen coming into the series, considering how dominant VP were in succeeding the entries into taking the bomb sites.
And we've so far only talked about the CT side of Akuma and the T side of Virtuspro, because it becomes a lot more one-dimensional when you flip the switch in that regard. Virtuspro on the CT side looked incredibly good. Buster was fantastic. Pretty much everyone was just teeing off like nothing else yesterday. And when you look over towards Akuma, unfortunately, their T side was looking fairly lackluster, not really being able to get the same sort of action from Psycho, from DemQ, from all these players. And that's where you're left wondering, is this going to be entirely about the first half? Because for me, like in my head, it's pretty much certain is that if Akuma can't get 10 rounds, maybe 9 at worst, I don't think they're coming into this match and being able to win that one.
And I think as well, we'll keep attention on players like Sensei when it comes to their CT and T side, because sometimes he put himself in positions where he was alone and would try and reposition only to get caught out, sometimes by positions that he kind of should be aware of, or at least be anticipating some sort of action, even if he's likely to die in spots like that just by virtue of trying to go for these opening picks. You want to see him survive into these late round moments, because Sensei can just be so explosive if he's allowed to rotate around the map. We even saw it on Mirage, the fact that he got a pick over towards B apps, then was all the way over at that A bomb site, even if he still lost the duel. Being as dynamic like as that on a map like Overpass can go a long way as well.
Well, we've got to see where Overpass actually lends itself to. DemQ had a fantastic first round in Mirage. Question is, can he do it again and actually win this one out? Akuma starting things off on the CT side, as we mentioned before. Of course, Virtuspro's map pick, and we all know what that means.
Well, they have, of course, that kit on Psycho. Nade set on Sergiz as well here for Akuma. Not going for any over-aggression here in these early stages. VP are playing it slow, and while there are tags and fire exchanged over towards that monster tunnel, no real indication as to how many numbers are really there for the VP side. Still not showing too many other faces, but a secondary player being spotted out. Akuma could start to lean with this.
Jackie's been solid on the CT defense over here on the B-bomb side, and now he has to step up in the pistol round. It does look like Virtuspro are happy with stalling things out and going for a few more aim duels, as Jackie's just going for the peek again and again. Nades are going to be avoided by Yekindar, and Jackie is taken down with that. Zerg is still with one last nade. It is deployed, but again, actually a pretty good damage nade, and DemQ's been given space, but not enough of it. Zerg is now coming in from the side, trying to fight back from water, but he's been caught out, and Yekindar's missed his shot, so he's been given another chance. Zerg is still trying to dart around to and fro, but without a kit, it's going to be very difficult to move past onto them. Kikert's going to get the bomb down successfully, while Zerg is still just looking for someone to peek. Now that he's gone aggressive, Yekindar peeking into him will find the frag, leaving Sensei alone to fall. Virtuspro, that's a really cool overall sight day coming through, even if it looks very simple, the way they avoided all that nade damage in particular.
And really interesting as well, the fact that they're continuously taking these fights with Jackie and kind of working off of his own internal timings. The fact that he's peeking in and peeking out of that monster tunnel. The fact that Yekindar's able to get up so close without Jackie realizing it because he'd been peeking back and forth. That timing being exploited, that actually looked like VP were targeting him specifically based on how much he wanted to take those fights.
Getting aggressive. This time the MAC-10 is in his hands. Doesn't want any of that scout action. DemQ's caught out, but Sensei, he's opened his hands up and he's catching a couple of these stray kills as well. And this is where, let's not forget, VP did struggle quite a bit. Maybe more than anything else, actually, on Overpass. Up against Spirit, the Deagles and Scouts were never really their friend.
Already, I think we'll start to note just how willing VP are to creeping up that monster tunnel, trying to exploit Jackie with the pistol. I can never know, right? But it did look as though VP were trying to isolate him specifically. Even Kicker in this round investigated creeping himself up, only for Jackie to jump spot it.
Sanji's the one who creeps in from the side. They just have the good old-fashioned bait and switch. Kiker's the one giving away information, and Sanji's the one crab walking through. That's a frag. And Circus, meanwhile, sitting behind the smoke. Things are looking pretty good for VP, but you've got to keep an eye on the time, which is where things can go and have gone very wrong before as well. They can't rotate back, and Psycho and Surges have both come through with a kill apiece. VP, the clock's run out for them, and they're having to go onto the bomb site with Psycho still around the pillar, but not able to get the kill. Sanji saved them in so many rounds. Is this going to be another? A 1v1 to try and take it away. Bomb can be planted, and with the smoke down, that's exactly what he's going for. Behind the pillar, it will fall, and that's where Surges pushes out, and Sanji with 4 prevents Virtuspro from facing a similar fate to what they had yesterday. And man, it feels like Overpass is just Sanji's time to say, no deagling us.
Stay away, you anti-eco fiends. VP, you can see the odds from our partners at Parimatch. Still heavy favorites in this series, 113 to 540. That is big. And of course, you can scroll on down to those banners down below to get a bonus on your first deposit with our partners. Of course, legal restrictions, age restrictions do apply. Make sure that you are staying within the eyes of the law.
Oh, that's checky. I mean, this is one thing where they are actually reinvesting into Deagles very heavily, and I don't know if I like it or not, because at the same time, you do want to have maybe a few more gun rounds coming out. You've bought up a Farmus and a Scout as well. Just, you know, this Deagle train, although it can go very well for you on the CT side as well, I don't want to take that away, but it can also lead into, you know, losing 1 or 2 too many rounds.
Yeah. Putting too many eggs in one basket. Cliche term, but certainly applicable. Boost for Buster is big.
This is something we criticized. Well, I criticized Spirit for not trying as much when they were having so many troubles with Toxic. And now, I mean, there's another boost from the CTs as well. But Sanji's more than happy to fire out some intimidation shots. Those were meant to be missed, you know? He's really just striking the fear of Mac 10s into them.
Channeling the powers of Ali G.
Indeed.
Well, anyway, Akuma should be able to get away with these. The SMGs are on the hunt, and that is going to be big if he finds these additional kills. I think this is actually going to incentivize VP to commit more assets to the chase, given that FAMAS has been spotted. They know that an investment has come through from that CT side. They are losing some numbers here. Their money is also a bit of a concern.
Well,
Sensei's trying to creep on in, but there's no real chance of him taking this one away, just trying to find himself a rifle, only gifting a frag to Yakindar instead.
and this is something that I really enjoy about Yakindar's play, is that he will go for those additional somethings if he's feeling good, and you can see that he is today. You know, he's going to make sure the rifle's going to stay there, all that stuff. And it seems like a minute point where, hey, everyone does it now. Well, it still goes a long way, and I don't actually think everyone does it these days. And it can sometimes come back to bite you, especially if, you know, you're not giving a team like Akuma enough respect in this regard. That's something which I think VP have really changed in their philosophy going up against Akuma. Before, they were giving them respect as far as aim deals was concerned. Not really so much about, hey, you know, weaponry, this and that, all yada, yada, yada. Now it seems like it's the other way around, where, you know, hey, we're going to take one of the ones with them, but we won't really let them have even a chance to get a lucky AK or something.
Sensei will try his hand at a peek, especially with that AWP. Has a chance. It's a bit of a miss, though. Not punished immediately. Akindar's there on the chase, and he's going to be able to track him down. Sensei once again caught in no man's land with that AWP, and no one from Akuma was close enough to trade. Surges even attempts to hold on to control front bathrooms, and with Buster finally getting dropped, there's still at least some space for Akuma to work with.
But there's so much time for VP to work with. This is where Psycho will be everything. And we saw yesterday, Axel just obliterated him around this position. So, not too surprised that he's changing up where he's playing from. Yakindar tagged up in the meanwhile. Psycho's making sure they can't rotate, but the timing from Sanji is perfect. He peeks out right as Demq trucks his nade over. And now he spotted Jackie as well, who's down to 3. And although he gets a frag, he's already lost a teammate. The trade he can't be too happy with. Got to be careful dropping down those stairs as well. You can just die on 3 HP.
Trying to move one step ahead, especially with him being spotted over at A. Makes that rotation to the B bomb site. VP haven't made that commitment yet with the bomb. Kicker is just looking to scout things out. Holds onto CT control. And Jay makes his way over.
Oh, very close. If that wasn't if that wasn't the corner of the wall, at least he would have been able to get another kill out. And look, that's the best you can hope for in that position. You're not going to get away with your farmers or anything of the sort. The problem now Akuma are going to face, Michael, is that we are now looking at likely a 5-0 start before they have an actual gun round.
Yeah, that's as a result of those earlier investments, right?
Yeah. And even the fact that they've bought into the previous round, but, you know, what was kind of a forced buy, kind of a full buy, really a bit of a confused affair between the two.
Yeah, there's an argument and counter-argument for that battle of attrition early on.
On the CT side, the counter-argument isn't that good.
Yeah, you don't get treated the best monetarily. Those government contracts.
Yeah, that's why they tell you, private entities, baby, never public. But DemQ, he's got a scout. He's the office boy. He's the favorite of the few. The question is, can he actually make something of it? Yekindar will be flashing him off the angle. And meanwhile, it does just creep through. Sergus looking to hold a slightly more passive approach over towards the divider. No one's really peeking out too much. It's only Jackie who's playing for some information from short. And Jackie is really the player that enables this style of 4 players on A. The fact that they have so much faith in him is continually rewarded with how well he positions, honestly.
Yeah, with nobody going for that lurk play outside of Monster, even more options, really. Hard angles for Sergus to fight. He was trapped on in. They're being very methodical here on the side of VP. Kendo does get overwhelmed. That Deagle ringing true for Sensei. In fact, he's not quite done. Wanted more fights. They are continually bleeding out in towards this banana position. Front bathrooms has been a slaughter, but DemQ with the scout, only the tag, no frag. VP have the sight, the bomb can make its way in, and they've recognized where Jackie's coming from. You can see he got jump scared, a little surprised, like, wait a second, how am I getting shot on the side?
It's the ambitious flick, you know, the one where if you land that one, well, you're telling all your friends about it, but if you don't, you kind of just look like a chicken caught out in KFC. Not looking good for you.
Yeah, a little fried. And this has been a good start here for VP once again. We saw them get off to a decent lead on Mirage. Now having similar successes and still playing this slow late round rotation style that I think we were kind of criticizing them for before. But seeing much more success, especially with Akuma biting down on the rotations. The miss Molotov, I'll gloss on past it, especially with VP not taking as aggressive short water control, so it didn't ultimately matter that much.
I mean, it is very rough, though, because it looked like DemQ wanted to get aggressive over there and get a beat down in towards short water, and Yekinar could just shut him down because of it, but even so, works out in their favor at the end of the day, especially with Sensei having found one earlier on. So all's well that ends well, but the end is not here yet. VP is still fighting back. Sensei,
oh god,
the double scope takes his focus away for just a split second, and that's where he will suffer.
Well, he's given away that AWP. That store owner is not going to be too happy. He doesn't quite know what to do with that gun. VP looking to burst. Oh no, the flash from his teammate actually blinds him up, so he's not able to capitalize off of the utility. So they know what's coming. The Molotov being used as well. Oh, the counter flash is brilliant. Jackie, it's an easy fight.
Small mistakes, that's what costs you. And with James going down and dropping the bomb, there are no more mistakes to be made. Buster is just hoping to get a kill or two. Better than saving over here. No loss bonus means, hey, get out of here with that $1,400. He's got 6K in the bank already. Now, Akuma, good start to things coming out for them, relying on the double op pretty heavily. They have lost one of those, but and reinvesting isn't going to be possible into the next one, but even so, for them, hunting down Buster is probably not a priority, and now that Sergei knows where he is, he's just going to run away. And I like this from Akuma, where they do just immediately get aggressive on 2 prongs. Even DemQ, that is a fairly aggressive angle that he's holding. They recognize that VP are not deathballing, so the double op can, you know, have a lot more success. If not for Sensei flobbing a shot, that could have been, you know, all 5 players kept alive.
Yeah, and it also seemed as though that Sensei wasn't quite sure where he himself wanted to go.
Yeah.
In the early rounds, he's usually very committed to one spot, and then will rotate after he's met a bit of contact or rattled off a shot himself. But yeah, getting caught in kind of a transition period, he wanted to hold on to a bit more long control. See, DemQ's now even fancying a peek into the fountains. VP leaving that side of the map very open. We talked about how Sergis could be there in heavy presence, but he's been prioritizing the B-bomb site.
Oh, Jackie's caught out over there. This time the flashes work out perfectly. Keekert and Buster are able to come through. The double ragtag duo keep it going. Already taking water control, but Psycho's there trying to stop them. His attempts are futile, though. Yekindar will be the one to get the kill. DemQ still looking to fight back with the secondary op. Can't get involved. Already, Virtuspro. That's the death ball that Akuma was hoping they wouldn't go for. And when it comes through and DemQ isn't in position, the secondary op is as useless as a paperweight that can't hold down paper.
Now, we've been seeing Jackie have limited successes in these opening fights. He wanted to get into that close angle position, but VP very aware that burst is so successful. The boost for Yakindar does go punished, but it's another round added to the tally here for VP. This T side is seeing so many rewards as a result of just that additional conviction. It's strange to think that that's the big change that we see from VP across the series that we saw yesterday, and contrasting it to today is just how more committed they seem to be in terms of what style they want to go for, what peaks they'll try. And you're right in identifying that some of it does come down to even just the respect factor. When we saw them up against Spirit, you know, a far more proven team.
Yeah.
You could understand why VP were being a bit more timid in that respect, but against Akuma, a team that have still so much more to prove.
Oh,
They're
love
just
this.
sending it.
They're just going down, barreling into the B-bomb side. Buster, while he's blind, will have to hesitate for a split second, which allows Psycho to get at least one. But DemQ and Psycho, this time much more successful control and hold over water. Buster drops down the bomb just to make sure if he dies, he will not lose it, but he's not dying yet. James and Buster are bringing it all back. Buster now baited out into the flames, and he turns away, but is looking back right in time to keep things a little bit more even. But James, oh man, he's going to be caught out. Sensei's rotation just too fast.
He is so quick. As soon as he fired that shot, he was barreling to get to heaven, and James had no idea. You see the confidence, just a full-on bull rush there from VP, not letting them think for a second.
I can know where the Mac-10 just runs through that smoke and destroys Jackie. And look, here's the thing. On Overpass, where VP are even happy with 6 rounds, losing a round like that actually kind of works out for you. They don't have a double op anymore for Akuma. They've lost 4 players. So now suddenly you're wondering, okay, sure, we won the round, but at what cost?
We may now see the push from Sergis, given the fact that they don't have that double op to play off of. He's taken that party position instead. Likes to investigate in the later stages of the round. VP are here on a much more standardized default. I don't know if Psycho predicts this angle. Oh, Yakindar finds the perfect timing.
Sensei. Is he going to catch out Yakindar over here? Yes, he is. At least is ready for the response, and Sergis can defend him for a while longer. Now, Buster seems to know what Sergis is up to, and especially with that sound cue given away, he does. Buster himself will be doing the same as he's faking out over towards long, but might be looking for a wrap from toilets. With Sensei keeping an eye line there, it's going to be hard to actually get past. While Circus, he's just hoping to make sure there can't be the second player. Keekert. Oh, good flashbang. Keekert destroys him. And I have to wonder, Michael, maybe I'm big braining this too much. The question is, does Buster run past so that they can make Circus feel like they don't know Circus is there? Give him a false sense of security?
I was going to kind of touch on the same point. Yeah, the fact that they know that Sergis has made that step, and that's kind of reciprocated in kind. Yeah, it does give him a bit more, I think, false confidence. It's targeted. They knew what he was up to. The flash couldn't have been better. But now VP are retargeting this B bomb site, and not a lot of time to make this one work.
Alright, that's true. It's taking away, and James gonna have to stick it. DemQ, miss spray, that could have been the game, and Keekert finds Jackie, which means DemQ's alone in water, but still good for at least one. Inside the smoke, he'll continue to spray, but he is finding about as much luck as I do on a night out. DemQ, though, with the smoke dissipating, is about to get a few more duels to deal with, while Sensei's just looking over his shoulder from Graffiti. Buster still waiting for someone to make a move. Anyone to come through. Sensei's going to be creeping forward. Finds the first kill. They don't have a smoke, though. And now they have to contend with Sanji, the clutch master, and Sensei. Well, Master's just his name, Michael. Literally.
That shouldn't have been a round that Akuma could salvage back. That deficit, VP with that late hit, nothing could go wrong. They were successful in preventing the planter from being stopped, but after the fact, just not able to fully flush out or trade frag onto the players that were on the bomb site. Big triple for Sensei in the round. And we talked about how one or two of these moments can really slingshot a team like Akuma, considering the successes they had earlier on into the tournament. That can just be the difference maker. Confident swings so that VP may play a slightly different game could as well enable players like Sensei to be a bit more dominant. He's had a stellar first half thus far, in spite of the fact that the scoreline may not really reflect it.
Suddenly that respect might be back, Michael. Of course, half buy is generally where you will want to either barrel or play slow, depending on what you were doing before, and VP, of course, will just be changing the pace. Akuma seem wise to this, though, as they do have their A-site players still in a pretty good position to rotate as well. And with flashes coming through, Psycho's just going to continue checking out. VP, look, flashbang's good. DemQ with one initially, and Psycho's managed to move past. This is just going to be the entirety of the T side falling. Nothing really to do here, nothing really to see here, Michael. It's a bit of a bad tourist destination.
Yeah, Sanji gets nothing done either. It's been interesting to track that Akuma have kind of changed up some of the small positions that they take within the B bomb site. Jackie not quite as aggro towards that monster tunnel, playing more conservatively, seeing if he could play off Psycho as that first point of contact. And in that anti-eco, Jackie comes up with 3 kills, but large in part due to the attention that Psycho is able to bring to him. So maybe these small adaptations, of course, with so many question marks around Jackie himself, him seeing activation can always go a long way, given the less proven nature of him. On him losing mental. The double nade is right on the money. They went for the boost for the first time here, Akuma, and they've been shot out.
Oh. Second out.
All the boost in response as well.
Mm-hmm.
If they hold this, I think Surges is on a collision course.
I mean, this is where Surges... Oh, God. And he does end up falling. If they'd just gone a little bit further ahead, that could have been a big catch.
Akuma are stacked here.
This is a really, really big issue for VP to actually get onto this bomb site, and they're so blind as far as information is concerned. Akuma seem to have a great idea of what's going on here. Jackie needs to start moving in, and with Sensei finding the first kill, a flashbang would be great now. Doesn't even need it. Catches him out with a nade in his hands and makes it 2! Jackie! Every day I see this man play, he just seems to get better, man. Honestly, he is evolving as you see him, and he's so much more confident, so much more in his element on that B bomb side on overpass. I love this from him.
Yeah, definitely a spearhead for a lot of information plays. We've touted him for exactly that. Kind of the other side of the equation, right? Surges gets a lot of his information by being aggressive. Jackie just sneaky maneuvers, I think, is his forte. And this time VP get really, really caught out by that. It's a great read from Akuma, though. They move 4 players over after losing that initial player at that B bomb site. And VP actually went for the reboost on short. You know, that's a mistake that feels punished, because not only did they go for that boost and it broke down, but they tried it for a sort of take 2.
Yeah.
But, you know, then you play a bit of a mind game. They've heard it. We know they've heard it. So they will never expect us to go for it again.
Yeah. The problem with mind games is they look great when they work.
They look a little silly when they don't.
A little bit, yeah. And that being said, though, Michael, we have to, you know, quickly also... I have to correct something I said earlier, which is that I said, oh, yeah, Akuma's got that first round. Nice shot from Keekert, actually, initially. Akuma's got that first round, yeah, but, you know, they've only kept one player alive. This is where VP's already happy with their round score. If VP are stuck at 6, they're probably not happy from being 6-1 up.
Oh, yeah. When you start the game hot, to taper off as massively as that, you always feel a little bit hard done by. What could have been had we tried this instead of that.
Sensei. Go forward. Does find Sanji. Takes him down. Very nicely done by him. And this is a game where, you know, one thing that we did see quite a bit, and Michael, you commented on, was that Akuma always have one player at the very least who's able to get aggressive the second they lose that man advantage. Generally, it's Sergis who you're keeping an eye out for, but Sensei is doing a very good job on overpass for now. Even so, these can't be the rounds that are the folly of many CT signs. Double AK is out and Deagle, so lots of power behind these rifles. Maybe they can get onto a bomb site as VP, while Akuma are playing more for retake style and without offensive utility. It's going to be all the harder to prevent this bomb plant from coming through. Oh, God. Lighting up on those jumps there, James. No time for hooping over here. But the bomb's been planted. Yekindar's found the flank, and he's going to be able to threaten a flank of his own. Akuma are going to be forced to act. And Sensei, he's found the first, but Buster's position is going to be everything. Both him and Keekert are on this bomb site. Yekindar's making his way over, but they found the kill, but not the second. Keekert sprays them both down, and Demq's left alone. No HP to work with, and he knows Yekindar's making his way through as well. So he goes for the more reasonable option, which is just to save that up.
What a round from Keekert. The recovered AK. He didn't even have armor himself in that moment, but he played completely off the contact and is able to deliver the goods. They weren't prepared for him to swing. Not like that, especially with Yakindar on that hefty rotation. You can understand the mentality of VP wanting to play more for time. But a fantastic response. And Akuma do get kind of picked apart. I think one of the things that can be commended is how comfortable they are with, especially when they are that man down, going for these stacks towards either of these bomb sites, leaving players like Jeki, like Sensei to act independently. But things kind of broke down since they didn't have that information. VP very slow to get this 4-man boost going. Finally, they'll prop it up, but nobody from Akuma going to show. So it's kind of an endeavor to get to this, only for it to yield nothing. If they hold on to this for a little longer, the player goes up heaven. They could be gifted the goods. Oh, they just break it off. Oh. The disappointment.
Yeah, he's just sitting on the edge of your seat wondering, is it going to happen? Is it going to happen? It's the worst kind of edging. But VP, they're not going to be aware of Sir. Oh, he heard it. That's beautiful.
You can see the feet as well under the gap.
And this is where he's going for more. Circus has got 2. We talked about how man, he loves the playground. He knows how to take control of this so well, and I can't believe Gambit was this successful at countering him out, but Circus's timings are so good, and Sensei, he's just added another. VP's dominance has been looking a little bit flimsy in the past few rounds, and Akuma are stepping up to the plate.
They're even looking for more. Sergis hasn't given up this space towards the fountain in spite of all the advantage that they have. They have that bomb down. They're on the hunt as well. Jeki's pushed through B. Keekert will punish, but they should be able to get away with these remaining rifles. I think the big thing there for VP is I've been praising it from them. They do stick to the initial plan. I think for a little too long. You mess up the jump a few too many times on that 4-man boost, and one of the drawbacks of going for that play is that you lose a lot of map control. That's why it's so important to get it down to a T so early so that you don't give up control. When VP have been playing a much more standard game, they've been hyper aware of what the possibilities are on that A-side aggression, but for Sergis to take control of that playground, especially just as Akuma, or VP, sorry, are retaking control of Fountain, it's very well timed and it's perfectly played from him.
And I've also been wondering for a while now that VP, with how much focus they've been putting on the B bomb side, at what point are they going to suffer because of Sergey's tendencies? And that's where it comes at the worst possible time, where VP can't even rebound from it. Now if they lose this one, Sensei, this is so well played, dude. This is actually so good because Sensei knows exactly what VP is thinking. They can't let Sergey go for that play again. So Sensei knows this is where he might be able to find a pick. Yekindar, though, it's time to focus on him because he's coming through but already lost his teammate. Jackie from behind keeps it going, looks for more, makes it 3. Dude, they're so good on the CT side right now.
It pales in comparison to how things started off. VP so dominating in taking these bomb sites. The faster burst plays as well, but this time it felt like an act of desperation, especially with James getting picked out so early towards A. No one could have locked down that side of the map had they tried to go back towards the default. If Sensei or Sergey had continued to aggress in that particular part of the map, VP would be at a disadvantage in so many respects. So they sped up and right into the meat grinder. Jackie's a hard man to lock down, especially if they are unsuccessful at getting that initial frag. You can see Yekindar just never going to be prepared for that fight given the entry pathway he decided to go with. And Akuma could very well recover the rest of this half. They have the momentum under their belt. They started off with that massive deficit on the CT side, but they have come back to play. And I think a lot of that has come down to these big performances that we're seeing out of Sensei.
Yeah, Sensei's sitting on 18 right now, could even be setting up for 20, and, you know, it's not just Sensei, but, I mean, amongst the, pretty much, well, you know what, we'll talk about that in a bit, because they're going into action again. This time it doesn't work out. They're so much better prepared for it. Good damage on the Buster as well, but the 1-for-1 might come back to haunt them. However, they're saying no to the Ghosts. They're the Ghost Busters, and they're looking to bust down Buster over here, as Yekindar's the first to fall. Great flick from Demq to catch him out on the slightly, oh, he even knows. James coming in from behind, but James actually got the secondary flank, not from connector. Demq's aware, but not quite enough. Buster will fall, leaving James alone. And all picked up, but a Molotov at his feet will make it all the more difficult. Bombs planted for him, despite the smoke. It's not going to be easy, but the spam's going to come through. Now maybe regretting not picking up the Galil, and he's being spammed away as well. They're trying to keep him off. It's Sergis on the P250, and James can't get it done.
My, oh my. You can see that scoreboard. 6-1 for an 8-7 half instead for Akuma. They really brought that one back. You can see the odds up on screen as well from our partners at Power Match. They have started to shorten a little bit. I actually thought they might lean further into Akuma's favor given the resurgence that they had. Of course, you can maybe prove our partners wrong. Head on down to that banner down below to get a bonus on that first deposit. It's really well done from them overall. That confidence feels like it's contagious on Akuma, especially when they started to get the ball rolling. We saw more risks taken by pretty much everybody, with the exception of maybe Psycho.
Yeah. And Michael, I'm sorry to cut you off, man, but I just wanted to very quickly touch on how good Jackie's been, especially because, you know, the second we went into this tournament, the second we went into the casting booth, the first thing that I said was that, okay, Jackie could be someone that might be exploitable, but dude, this guy's just evolving. He is feeling so much more in his element right now. It is visible. When he's pushing through Monster without a flashbang, he's able to defend when there's 3 players coming from different sides. It is so good to watch, but the biggest hurdle is here. This is where we saw Spirit falter as well. Can Akuma get past the CT defense of Virtuspro? James is going to start off listening for sound cues and also keeping an eye out on connector. But with no one rushing down either way, VP are just going to play back and play it passive.
Yeah, eyes on kicker as well. Man with the kit for VP should they end up in a post plant. Akuma with a snake over towards long. Front to back.
Confused. What's a snake?
I mean, there's just that they're just trailing behind one another.
Fair enough. Never mind. I thought maybe we'd talk about the playground snake. But no. James! He's been snaked into. Sergis will take him down. Yekindar, nice shot from long range. He's looking for a couple more taps, but through the smoke becomes a little bit harder. His own teammate is blocking his success, but maybe that's for the best. Psycho and Jackie. They'll wait this one out. They're not in any rushes, but Yekindar might be putting on a couple of speed bumps regardless. Jackie goes down. He's looking to peek again. What a shot from Yekindar. Just solo handling a long, making it all look easy. Drops the bomb as well. And Buster, well, he knows.
All right, boys, I got the B bomb site. Hello, team? What can you do? Yakindar, very, very well done over towards Long. That last fight as well, there was a shadow given up on Psycho, so Yakindar knew exactly where he was positioned. See if Demku can get it done. He doesn't have a lot of time to make this one work. He'd have to just fight his way out, and he's being a bit too methodical given the time. So, consolation, but Sanji cleans it up. VP getting themselves the pistol on the CT side, in spite of the fact that Akuma looked like they could have collapsed quickly on towards that A site, maybe overwhelm a few of those defenders. The smoke timing and the way that Yakindar was continually rattling off shots, just enough to slow Akuma down. And, well, deal with them full outright, actually. So
I do quite like this from Akuma, though. The fact that they're going for the full save. This is really good to me to see for me. If they get a bomb plant, that would be, hellishly lucky for one thing, but also really good. But they're prioritizing their rifles very early on in the second half, unlike what we saw in the first half, where we didn't see a gun run until the 6th round from them, and that's just something which really came back to bite them in hindsight, considering that 6-1 was where VP really turned things around. Sorry, rather, Akuma really turned things around. At 6-0 down, you start to wonder, hey, what if they'd had a couple more gun rounds? It could have been a bigger advantage in their favor. So here, James should be able to clean this one up. Pretty straightforward crossfire between him and another man right behind him. I think that's Yakindar. Yeah, it is. Yakindar's going to come through. He did it in the pistol round. He's going to do it in the first anti-eco round.
Yakindar's looked much cleaner today.
Yeah.
Confident sprays, taking battles we know he's capable of.
And man, if they go through to the grand finals versus Gambit, he's going to need all that hygiene. Get that soap out. Sensei, though, meanwhile, just hoping for another kill. $600 would be quite nice to add to the coffers, but Kiekert's not having any of it. Long-range headshot takes him out. Even so, Sensei even being able to find that one kill does actually give them one extra Molotov if they'd like to go for it, but instead prioritizes the double flashbang. So we could be seeing an actual faster B-sided play with how many flashes they've bought up amongst themselves.
Yeah, 2 Molotovs seems like pretty prime real estate for a quick B execute if they wanted to opt for it. Could totally understand playing out a more standardized default here for Akuma as well, given that this is their first gun run, and they'll have the advantage weaponry-wise.
I want to see what Demku actually does.
Perfect molly.
Yeah, it's great from them. They catch out Yekindar Circus. They were ready for that. That's such a good play coming through. Great read as well. Drops the only M4 that was available for Virtuspro.
Especially considering that's a position that Sergis very often plays into. It's a counter to his own position, but you can see all that room that's been created. The fact that Jackie makes his way up the connector, so much pressure being applied towards top side A, so Buster tried to look for control at B. Now they don't really know where Akuma are headed. The options are really open for them.
And for Akuma, this is the best case scenario if you can go into the A bomb site and actually take down these players as well with you. Just stop them from saving, but it can also go so very wrong. It all comes down to James finding a kill or two before they've actually started to get onto the bomb site. But the flashbang keeps him at bay, and Psycho's looking to contest for now. James misses an opportunity, but Sanji won't. He's getting aggressive, and now that he's dropped the bomb, it looked like a chance, especially with the AK recovered. 35 seconds. And it might be falling apart for Akuma. Demku's going to be the flank. He's the hidden assassin. In the shadows, he lurks, but Sanji, well, he's already found his teammates. In the meanwhile, this could be too late. He does, but, oh, that's so nice. Kicker just jiggling while Demku keeps an eye out on Sanji. That's just great manipulation of sightlines.
Yeah, Kicker was thinking about it as well, especially in those last 2 or 3 seconds. Expecting some sort of a tricksy play, considering Akuma weren't really fighting all too vehemently for that bomb control right back. It could have been that hidden element, the way that Akuma come back into the round, and VP knew it. I think that's a good thought exercise to sometimes go through when you find yourself in advantages is, what's the worst thing that could happen right now? Could have maybe saved Shiro a lot of hassle.
Indeed, indeed. James so far has not had a very strong game, and he's looking to turn that around on the CT side with his AWP. 5-11 is not a scoreline you want to have when on the other side you had Sensei finishing up the first half on 18.
Independent play for both these A-side players on the VP side. Given that it's low buys, this could isolate them, but first kill is good for Jame, and Kinder had a freebie, but he takes too long to adapt. Jackie just immediately punishes. It's a 3-on-3.
And the AK has been recovered by Sergis, who already has full head armor. This is not a round which VP has by any stretch of the imagination. Jame even has to be careful. He's been found out. He's not expecting someone to be this close already, but he scopes in Jame. He's doing Michael's exercise right now. What's the worst possible thing that could happen? Well, a deagle could be about around that corner. I've got to keep an eye out.
Yeah, spotted him on the jump spot and wasn't sure how far he could progress. So just playing it very, very safe, especially with a teammate coming. So good heads-up play there from Jame.
Look at Kikert. As well, Sergis won't be finding anything, but Kikert's positioning is so big. However, he moves back right at that moment, and Sensei could make the call to go back to B. This is where Sergis will be looking to make a move. The question is, can he beat the time? Kikert's coming around the corner right about the time when Sergis is going down, so at least the bomb plant should be guaranteed, but Sensei's already moved past. He's going to be able to translate his position into the CT spawn. He peeks out and gets the first kill. Sergis even crosses without dying despite being tagged up, and Sensei, with that frag, has the opportunity to isolate out Heaven, but he's not expecting Jame to have already moved down towards CT spawn. A 1-on-2. Has to get them all, but Jame, the round where I say he has to show up, he does just that. 4 kills for the man, saving the day.
And we've highlighted the fact before that Jame is not only a proficient AWP player, but he's confident on those rifles. You know, he's had a bit of a quiet game. Has, especially on the T side, was struggling to be as involved as some of the others, especially when it came to scaling the bomb site. But now in a crucial set of 1v1s, because his teammate was on that long flank, just not faltering whatsoever. Big stuff from the IGL of Virtuspro, and a 3-round discrepancy now given up. Akuma, this reinvestment is going to be big. That was only really a half investment the pistols brought through, but still finding so much success.
And this could be the moment where Akuma can break down the VP economy, or it could be where VP run away with it. It's one of the most important rounds in the game. And Sensei, that's how you want to start things off. Manages to catch out Yekindar. Really good timing as well on that, honestly. I quite like that. It's one of those plays that actually Simple likes to go for quite often as well. Just force a player back from Divider into a secondary peak, and that's where the op is just ready and posted. He normally has it done with a Molotov, though.
Feigning some aggression over towards Monster while investigating short. Jackie is in the connector, posted on Buster's position. If he makes too far a step, Jackie could have his number, especially with Akuma grouping up towards this B bomb site. Virtuspro are in solid positions for this. They've left Jame alone at A.
He's a big boy. He can handle himself, but if things get messy in B, they may need his help. Psycho creeping through. That smoke is fresh.
Yeah.
But it's got a gap in it, and he'll be able to try and move past it if they make a mistake of peeking into it, and they don't actually know that there's a gap in the smoke either. He peeks forward. Psycho's got one, but right behind is Kikert. Good for one. Needed two, though. And Sanji is the one who saves the day. An ump is what he has in his hands, but it's enough. Turns the corner. Sensei's though still fighting back, but now it's a 1v1. And the nade is all they need. Jame peering down from the heavens.
How much more could you ask from Sanji? You were right. VP didn't know that there was that gap in the smoke, and they weren't going to peek through to the monster tunnel just in case that small gap could be exploited. You know, sometimes when you throw that monster tunnel smoke, there can be these minor edges. The smoke may not line up with your own vision. And so they know that that's a possibility. Not only that, frequently spammed position is that wood peak.
Yeah.
And it almost breaks down as a result of the massive gap. Sanji coming in so clutch.
Yeah, Draymond Sanji really just killing it over there. Sanji, of course, just on the B-bomb side, has been so good this entire tournament. Yakindar. You'll love to see that. And well, Keeker's going to get a little bit more for his own money. Flashbang goes Psycho is actually what blinds out his teammates, and that's why he might be looking to duck away and hide while Sensei rears his head. And will be rearing down Buster. Unfortunately for him, has to kill his consolation. You need a lot more to be competitive.
Yeah, considering how free that monster tunnel was to be traversed by Akuma, they tried to go for it way earlier in the round. And it actually just kind of all collapses. They actually even sped things up because of Yakindar's ridiculous frag. But we talked about that spam and just having a solid lineup, not only for the initial push, but even if players creep past on the timing. Yakindar shows us exactly that. Only these two players now for Akuma to try and recover, Sensei and Psycho. Given that this could really dig them into a rut. They'll really want to fight for this one. The Molotov timing is perfect, and Yakindar has his number. That's the bomb.
And that's the round. No heroics here possible. Lost bonus is maxed out. You might just want to die over here, but yeah, they're going to be forced into a force bind the next round because of this. You could sort of half buy around it as well, in all fairness, but yeah.
It's one of those things as well. You do want to get Sensei on that AWP.
Of course.
We saw him have such a dominant first half. I think he's had, 5 kills now that we've entered the second, but his whole team has kind of been struggling in the success rates and actual round conversions, of course.
And this is something we talked about, Michael, which is that, unfortunately for Akuma, they don't really seem to have the luxury of having just one player show up. They can't really have any player go absent. And right now, I hate to point fingers, especially because he's the IGL, but 5 kills across 22 rounds is just not really entirely excusable. Shame, though, for no way, Demq. That's a great shot to find. It's a one-way, of course, if you've got the double scope with the scout. And Yakindar, well, he's taking down Jackie in the meanwhile, so at least they keep it even, Steven. I think, was he boosted up, Michael?
I'm not sure, but he seems to seem clear as day.
I think
maybe
he was boosted.
Yeah. Oh, timing almost works out there for Yakindar, especially being that man down.
Yeah.
That bomb was dropped outside of B, so if Yakindar had that information, if Sensei didn't make this rotation as early as he did, then things would...
Buster's playing from.
Yeah, they know he's here, though. He had found that kill earlier on.
Yeah,
Do they expect him to stick around?
It's such a hard angle as well to really properly contest. Akuma have got to get their thinking caps on about where to go now.
One of the worries is the longer they wait, the more likely it is that Sensei is going to have to run with that bomb. They plan to go A. Oh god, gun barrel spotted. Sanji can't get anything.
Sightline's given up though, and Sanji doesn't want to peek back into the AWP. Now that Sergej reveals himself, though, more than content taking on the Tech 9. Sanji, however, is just trying to get an off angle going for himself while Buster's trailed all the way back towards that B-bomb side. He's playing for time now, and he knows it. With the smoke down on the short, it makes it so incredibly difficult for them to just walk through. But the Molotov, it's perfect. It'll be giving them pathway forward. They have a chance, but once the Molotov is extinguished, Buster's going to be looking to get a bit more aggressive, and Kiekert's guaranteed him a chance to do just that. Sanji even chiming in. And VP, despite a few shaky moments, will be able to rock through that earthquake and come out headbanging. 14-8, man. Not a single round again. The impenetrable CT side of Virtuspro continues.
Both rounds thinking that one step ahead in the late round there. Or both teams, sorry. Just being able to understand what rotations were happening. You know, pulling Buster away from B. And so trying to trail in behind him. But VP were that step ahead as well. They had that quick rotation. VP with so many opportunities to bring this at least to a safe territory. You know, 15 guarantees in overtime. They want to take this in 2. And Jackie, it's Sanji on the spam that gets punished for his actions. James still in the connector though, so able to hold on to some solid control here for VP.
Buster's gonna be moving past, and that's where Psycho just gets caught off. Demq's the only one to find anything, but he's done more than just one. And this is where suddenly, despite Virtuspro looking like they were en route to a fantastic recovery mid-round, Demq is the one to turn everything on its head. And VP, with their money being as poor as it is, Kikert, you have to save, but will you be given the chance? Sensei seems to be postured pretty well to cut him off, but Kikert actually could be able to, never mind. Really good recovery from Demq coming in. He's, of course, one of the other players who, even coming into the playoffs, was one of the 2 players rated in the top 10 of the entire event, but we haven't seen him have the same impact this series or even, hell, yesterday versus Gambit. Now would be a pretty good time for him to step up. VP's economy is broken. They're going for a forced buy around the AWP. Well, not even a forced, but it's a weird buy around the AWP. So Akuma, now would be a good time to start throwing up.
Yeah, even if it does feel circumstantial, the fact that they got those 2 opening frags, you know, Jackie with a spam, you're not going to get that every single round. You see the same adaptation that Akuma were throwing on their defaults, throwing that top side connector, or sort of bottom side connector smoke, rather, such that they can explore a little easier. Another easy frag for James, though. You would think, especially with that position taken up last round, they would try and flash around the corner, but Jackie just moves into him.
Well, Sanji could be caught off. He turns around at the worst possible time there. Sensei was just turning the corner. Oh, wow. That's a beautiful re-peek into it. I thought MQ should be able to get that one in, especially given how easy it is to wallbang. But Psycho's just not having a good day at all. Caught off by Kikert in the back lines. And James, well, he's already repositioned and ready for the B-bomb side. So if they start to come back over here, that's going to be where, hell, I don't know if they've got what it takes to move past him.
Yeah, this was a hero investment AWP here from James. So the fact he's got 2 is really big stuff. And you'd almost anticipate that VP would want a bit more information to work off of, given the limited resources that they have. And with this time ticking down, all about where James decides to position. He's not made his move. He's still sitting on that B bomb site, locking down a lot of terrain, but Akuma are creeping.
This is such a good crossfire, though, coming out as well. Sensei's going to clear the angle, but Yakin are just too good. He's going in for more and done so much damage. Both these players are low enough that a USP or even a deagler or even a USB could just one-shot them to the body. Kikert, he knows the bomb's being planted, will just be going for the peak, and he's dropped it. That's gone! Akuma! This was not the round where they were allowed to make these mistakes.
As soon as I get 1 round on this T side, 1 round in the second half, they lose to that. It's a bold move for VP to go for, but that hero AWP just works wonders. And that's part of the reasoning as to why Jackie doesn't clear it. You know, they're not anticipating that economic move there for VP, because that could have ended up in a rut being created for them, where Akuma could have come back, but it's a play to win that really works forward for them. Buster now looking for aggressions of his own. They've been giving up this position far too frequently. Feels like on the CT side, and Sensei in tune with it.
That's another one. James going to be forced to play so much more passively without his secondary player available. Really limiting what he can do.
Does have some support this time around. They were comfortable leaving it alone, but he wants to get a bit aggro with it.
And you can see why Demq could be caught off completely alone. James found the frag and moves back immediately. He's hoping that Akuma could be having a moment of hesitance and start to rotate over, make some noise. That's where they could be looking to catch them off even more. But Sanji, you've got to love him. Gets aggressive. Oh, that's so bad though. And Sanji, he's in position but couldn't line up the kill. Has to navigate backwards. But now, the whole troop's there. The entire squad is ready. And Kiekert's in position as they start to move in onto the bomb site. They're so low. Kiekert could be the executioner if he's even needed. Sanji on the sideline just pushing forward to keep himself alive. And it's a big crossfire setup. They're clearing out Sanji, but it's Kiekert who's the deadly one. And it'll be James to finish things off. 16-9. Virtuspro get revenge and they find themselves a slot in the grand finals.
And far more what we expect to see from VP. Not only trying to go for those aggressive peaks time and time again, but they felt like they were dictating the flow of combat so often through both of the maps, where we had kind of criticized them for Mirage being a little bit lackluster earlier on in the tournament. A really refined game plan coming into this one. They weren't hesitating as frequently, just committing to ideas. And, I mean, props to Akuma for making it this far into the tournament. Nobody would have pegged them to make it within the top 3 of this particular RMR, and yet they continued to deliver against top teams. But VP, the adaptations were there. You could see they put some effort into adapting to the game plan that Akuma were going to come in with.
Mirage was a completely different showing from Virtuspro coming in, and even Overpass, the CT side was excellent, but I want to give so much love out to Akuma. The fact that they were able to make so many of those rounds incredibly competitive. I mean, how many rounds did we see Sanji clutching them out for bad situation? How many rounds were they in position to be able to win the entire thing out from? And when you could see that reflected in the fact that when they finally find one round on the T side, VP's economy just looked shattered. It wasn't a stable journey despite what the round score would tell you, and that's where, you know, a lot of it came down to DemQ stepping up in some moments, and, you know, Jackie had some fantastic moments, but Sensei was a player throughout that map who kept on delivering again and again and again. If not for Virtuspro having their main players, Yakindar, you know, Buster, even Kiekert, and so, literally everyone looking pretty damn good, I think that this could have very well been a stolen victory of at least a map, if not more, coming out from the Akuma side as well.
And that only bodes well as well for VP moving into the grand finals, because we said for both of these teams you'd need every piece to be activated in the way that you kind of intend for your game plan to go if you're going to try and beat down the top dogs. Gambit are irrefutably the top team within the region, if not the whole world. So gotta be on your A game is the best way I can put it, because considering the fumblings that we've seen throughout this tournament from not only the top teams, but, you know, missing out on key rounds for a lot of the up and emerging talents within the region, there can be no mistakes made. VP are going to have a tall task ahead of them, and the fact that they made the adaptation for this first game, I've got to say, I'm a lot happier to see this version of VP considering the journey that they've had this tournament.
Well, that journey isn't over yet. There's still the final frontier of, hell, even Counter-Strike these days. Gambit Esports lies in wait. That game, if I'm not wrong, will be coming up in about 55 minutes or so. It's a best of 5. We're going the distance. Make sure you're here with us throughout all of the action. VP looking good, and you don't want to stop looking at them, so make sure you've got your popcorn ready, got your drinks ready, got everything ready. We'll be back in just a while.
There are only a few seconds to close this round. A headshot. Nice. Fist bumps go to the teammates.
I wanna hear ya go, go, go. Make them feel your smashing blow. Swing around. Rise to fame. Hold the ground.
Pretty much. They play, you win.
say it like that. If I hate you, then find someone new. Baby, but you know I never will. No, so I choke you down just like a pill.
Never ever find the right words, and there's no way this is real life. There's no telling you're the right girl, so I can only say that it feels right. It feels right, it feels right. Yeah, I can only say that it feels right. It feels right, it feels right. Yeah, I can only say that it feels right. Doubt, felt like this is just a must. Put me in perspective, I'm the deepest in the cut. Everybody tuning in, but this is just for us now. We know I ain't ballin' yet. Hoes wanna holler, oh no, I don't call them back. Girl, let me see you hold it down, we gon' have a blast. Cause I just wanna know what you gonna do with all of that. Ain't gotta say a word, I know what's up. You can have it all, watch me rip it off. I'll admit it, you got me feeling hella love. Even when it's going down, know that we gon' live it up. Young shot caller, always been a baller. Know that you the one, I can feel it in my heart, yeah. I won't stop charging, we going come harder. I can see you and I, way beyond the stars, girl. I can never ever find the right words, and there's no way this is real life. There's no telling you're the right girl, so I can only say that it feels right.